would you look at that? Another video where I'm covering someone's first commentary that covers someone based on a bandwagon of some sort. And I have to come out of my comfort zone a little bit and play defendant for the mysterious Mr. Enter. Gee, thanks, Will, for furnishing Kill Land with new clouds? Wow, those are pretty. Yeah, if I have to censor everything up until the end of the commentary portion, this won't end well.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's that 7th Blade Dragon speaking, and welcome to my new show, Counter Commentary. You may ask why I'm doing this. Well, first off, this is filler for my channel while I make a second episode of the Entertainment Expedition, so I can keep you all entertained. Secondly, I'm using this show to get some things about Mr. Enter's animated atrocities off my chest, and why he needs to change his way of thinking when it comes to reviewing, or else he should just stop reviewing altogether. You may think this is crazy.
Well, duh.
And yes, I am aware why this is dangerous, since most of his fan base defend him to the death, even on the most stupidest points he makes. But I'm not afraid. I think he's a bad reviewer, and I'm going to show you why.
Wow, you are already giving me mixed messages. So you're telling me your intent is to show everyone how bad Mr. Ender is? I can understand that notion paraphrasing the whole I want to see him improve, since, yeah, technically you do have to show all the flaws, but A, he doesn't imply anything about wishing improvement on the subject matter, B, he's implying that he's speaking for Enter in general, not just the video he's covering, and C, he just now said that Enter should change his ways of reviewing or he should stop reviewing. I mean, like it or not, what he's doing is actually working out pretty well for him in the grand scheme of things. So in the end, all this introduction did was make you look like a complete apple.
Alright, now that I'm feeling better from my most recent medical issue, let's see what's next on the agenda. Yup, my ears are bleeding. Time to go back to the hospital.
Good.
And stay there. You're clearly unfit and unhealthy for this, especially after your 100th atrocity. And no, I'm not going to mention his medical issue. Just because I hate him doesn't mean I have to be a heartless jerk.
Okay, so you say that you're not going to rag on any possible medical issues, but you're still going to wish that he would stay in the hospital because he jokingly said he wanted to go back? And regardless of how you want to come off, still saying that he should stay in a hospital because of a video is still not good. I would accept this as a joke, but you immediately reassuring that you won't discuss medical issues makes this really sketchy on your end. And if it was a joke, well, it's too vague for me to take it as one. I'm sorry, but
Unlike these two.
Hey, hi, I'm new boy number 72. Who are these people? Why are they jerks? Why is one supposedly black and the other a handle on a door that is turned to release a latch? Can I have an explanation? Am I going to get one? Did Master TP10 steal cookies from the cookie jar? Because if so, I'm gonna cut you, you basketball player! You look like Tiger Woods! Uh-oh.
Let me translate for those who don't speak stupid cartoon. This show is going to be desperately trying to cash in on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to the point of being a creatively sterile ripoff.
No, it isn't. It's a
Okay, before I even let you open your mouth, are you just gonna play media clips before you make your actual point and have them come off as really jarring and only serve as a lazy way for you to not think of your own clips? I'm aware of the media clip scare going around in the commentary community, but when they're handled in a way that only serve as speaking for the presenter, like we've seen twice, it's just a waste of space and can either be said by you or taken out indefinitely. In fact, if I may, you do realize the context of the Monty Python clip, right? His limbs are being cut away and he's just standing there and the guy's stupefied and the black man's like, nuh-uh. So, does this mean I have every right to tie the meaning of the clip back here? Is Enter actually making some sense? And you know this, but are still going to debunk this anyway? Holy Shyamalan, was it you that took the cookies?
It's supposed to be a parody of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't believe it has enough elements to separate itself from the show as well.
So you're gonna show me why this can stand on its own, or am I just gonna let this slide by? I think we all have the answer to this, so let's continue.
Besides, how can you cash in on something if TMNT didn't have a relevant show for 3 years?
I mean, we could have something to fill in the void of anthropomorphic dinosaurs that kick butt if the turtles are MIA. If anything, you can argue that the creators wanting to produce wannabes during their Inspires hiatuses would be an even better tactic, as their competition isn't even there.
But to be fair, it does draw more similarities to extreme dinosaurs. However, people said that was a TMNT ripoff as well. So I don't think it's logical throwing around that term unless you have some plentiful and solid proof.
Oh, you mean like what you've done to show that Kung Fu Dinoposse isn't a ripoff of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Yeah, funny how that works. Maybe solid proof would work, but that doesn't mean that Inch's claim about it being a TMNT ripoff isn't baseless because of the Funky Kong title of both shows. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a group of animals that specialize in a specific fighting type. Kung Fu Dinoposse, a group of animals that specialize in a specific fighting type. Well, yeah, you could say that Inter should have proof, but the review only just now started, and the claim was based on the first impressions. You know, something we can get from the titles alone.
I personally think something is only a ripoff when it shows too many similarities to the show it is based on, and not trying to separate itself as its own identity.
Cool! And when you know, that's exactly what Inter's about to go into after this interjection is done.
Also, the first sentence he said felt like he was being patronizing to the audience. And I don't like it.
Oh god, he just wanted to translate his thoughts for people that didn't get the picture while calling this cartoon stupid. Oh man, how awful, call the fire department, I'm gonna faint.
Pointing out your problems doesn't make them go away.
Oh, just like you use your autism as an excuse for not getting better equipment and a better attitude for your reviews that actually make them logical and enjoyable despite getting loads of wonga through ad revenue and Patreon.
What? What does bringing up Inter's autism have anything to do with anything? Did you actually try to call hypocrisy for something that has nothing to do with anything ever? Yeah, fun news, sunshine. You just got a bachelor's and not tackling the point. But let's actually analyze what you just said. Where did he try to justify something for his autism? Now, granted, he talked about Autism Speaks on both YouTube and DeviantArt, and even wrote another DeviantArt journal about his experiences with Asperger's syndrome. But okay, you know, it only just now hit me and call me out for this is stupid, but why am I doing the dirty work? As a commentator, you need to show the proof, the examples, the mother-loving pudding. It doesn't make a daffodil difference on whether or not I show these pieces, as I would be wasting my time doing your lack of showing anything. And plus, even if you did show proof, what's to say that Inter doesn't still stand by what he said back then? Or heck, that Inter's not content with what he has. After all, you mentioned his ad revenue and Patreon, so one can assume that it's his choice to not get the equipment you desire. But no, apparently Inter's saying that pointing out problems doesn't mean that they go away, so your best resort would be, well, you do have autism! You get fun dipped, nerd!
Anyway, it's taking the mickey out of itself, and it's not a bad thing. I personally take the mickey out of myself and I have no problem with it, and people find it funny at times.
Yeah, cool. That doesn't mean Inter has to follow your belief.
Each of these characters are bland, one-note tokens. Token headstrong leader is Kane, overly confident and doesn't listen to anyone else. Token girl is Lucy, and that's her entire character, being a girl. Token big eater is Chow. Once again, that's his entire character. And finally, token jerk asshole is Jet.
As much as the characters aren't the most original out there, just because a character is a token doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. It can be used for humorous occasions and can be used to further take the mickey out of itself. Also, Kane is more than a headstrong leader. He's a leader with poor speech.
It's okay, we're not going to hurt you. You were frozen in the ice. You've probably been there for millions of years.
You gotta be kidding me.
Moving on then.
Yeah, funny story about that. Inter brought up how Ken's overconfident and doesn't listen to anyone else. You mentioning that he has poor speech doesn't really debunk anything. Not to mention, you only try to justify Ken's character and not the other three, which implies that a majority of Inter's argument is pretty valid. Either that, or this shows, once again, you can't be fudged to provide examples to save your life. Also, about the whole token characters aren't bad thing. Maybe, but you have to understand that if there's not much new or interesting to mix up these archetypes, then who cares? It wouldn't be bad, but it wouldn't really be good either. This isn't even taking into account of those possible humorous occasions, not really being all that humorous to the wide majority in the end. Sure, it's subjective, but from a marketing corporate stuff standpoint, if it's not the majority that's interested, then pack it up, you peel of the banana variety. Huh?
Also, as I've learned in reviewing cartoons, apparently pterodons weren't dinosaurs.
Okay, hold on a sec. Dragon, you can sit down. Enter. Buddy, did you actually just call pteranodons pterodons? Well, guys, I'm DigitalTy, and I'm going to die Oh no.
Sorry, Jet, you can't be in the show, you're technically not a dinosaur. But don't worry, I have a strong feeling the show will be much, much better without you.
Oh, you're going into that territory, aren't you? Firstly, it's just a theory, like evolution and the existence of God, and was most likely the creators didn't know this before the theory and evidence was published much later. Secondly, even if this was true, does it really matter? It'd be like saying that Larry and Bob from VeggieTales should be on their own show because science says actually fruits. And I'm sure the creators of that show didn't know that beforehand either. It's a cartoon. It doesn't always have to be 100% factually correct like it's a science essay. Finally, the way you said it raises the red flags here.
Also, as I've learned in reviewing cartoons,
He most likely goes info from just cartoons and a Wikipedia page. This shows how incompetent he is when he researches something, provided this is coming from the same guy who didn't know how oil rigs worked.
Oil rigs that are on fire. I'm no mechanic.
Okay, you were on a decent track with your interjection, but then you decided to bring up some other incident from some other review a long time ago? Why? You had already proven your point, so why bother going on another tangent that has frick all to do with the actual review? It's just padding. Or are you one of those funny heads that find any absolute reason to prove Big Bad Adolf Hitler wrong? Well, sorry, but there's a time and place for bringing up his error about oil rigs in his Cars 2 review. Which is supposed to be if you're doing a commentary on his Cars 2 review, not this!
I think I made my point now. Or perhaps I haven't.
Oh my lord, yes you have. Can you please stop talking and play the actual video, you stupid
Do you think Mr. Enter's right, Larry?
Gee, I can't come up with anything lol XD to say to balance out my already random and flow-breaking tangent. Why, what do you think, random and flow-breaking media clip?
Herman.
Yeah, me too.
You probably already noticed this, but the animation is horrid. Somewhere between Pixel Pinky and My Life Me.
That's just insulting. Yes, the animation is choppy as hell, but I think you're stretching it by comparing it to Pixel Pinky and My Life Me. At least Kung Fu Dino Posse has a much better style than Pixel Pinky, and the characters don't look like anime abominations.
Hey, how about you let Inter explain his point without cutting him off like you so obviously did?
But the animation is horrid. Somewhere between Pixel Pinky and My Life Me, we have this choppy, stilted nothing, with characters that look like they just don't belong in the world created by the backgrounds. And you have to keep this in mind, Kung Fu Dino Posse, which is a stupid name, is an action show. Action shows require intricate fight scenes and fluid animation. When you don't get that fluid animation, it really looks like you're just banging two paper dolls together.
Even still, Inter said that the animation is somewhere between Pixel Pinky and My Life Me, which implies that Kung Fu Dino Posse has better animation than one of the shows he mentioned. Granted, it's bad wording on his end, but stopping him mid-sentence to say, oh, well, that's a mean thing to say, it's not like this, doesn't refute his overall point about how this animation's bad. Holy moly!
Skipping ahead, since he does make a decent point on the animation's fluidity. I hate it when I have to give this new Mr. Enter credit.
Yeah, I hate that I have to find something good about this person I don't like. Gosh.
So this episode starts at a museum with the red one looking at a computer while an alarm is ringing.
Oh, give the show some respect for goodness sake.
Well, interject to something that's actually worth interjecting to, for goodness sake.
It's go time!
But I went this morning. Oh, the other go time.
Die, and make it painful, please.
I would say the same thing towards you, but unfortunately it's against YouTube's rules to wish death upon another user.
You realize by saying, oh, I would still wish you death, still doesn't make it okay on your end because, well, you just said you would! And you still feel compelled to bring it up anyway, so what the fuck?
So instead, I say go back to the medical bay and get your brain checked, because that was a decent joke. And let Mr. On-Agent take care of the rest.
No, you won't, because you can't come up with an original joke to save your life, and me now. Now, in any normal circumstance, I'd skip and move on, but somehow Dragon gave me more to work with. For one, no, that doesn't give you any ground to stand on because you're still bringing up personal shingles with a person! Enter's just bashing a cartoon, something incapable of producing emotion and all that human stuff. It's just a creation, not to mention that it implies you support this type of behavior towards a person when he's bashing a cartoon. In fact, you say yourself that he's disrespectful, so at the end of the day it makes you look like a hypocrite. Second, yeah, I do too, when it's not dragged out to 12 years nor when it stops the video. Thirdly, oh, you then play a heavy voice line that's really quiet, spout out a prank gone wrong meme, and then a filthy Frank clip is pacing the Holocaust to you!
Everyone else gets their mind controlled by weird bug things.
Behold, the tool that Enter uses to get his way.
No.
And then the show ends. This was the season finale and the bad guy wins, and we all lived happily ever after.
Not for some of us.
Stop talking.
We still have to put up with you,
Do not.
your fanbase,
Don't make me tell Mom.
and your bad videos.
Hey, can I get a number 5? Hold the tomato. Mr. Bones, would you do me a favor and put this wild ride into maximum overdrive?
I better play along until I figure out what's going on here.
I thought that the MP4 I got of this episode was just skippy, but no, the lip syncing really is that bad. It's like they animated some of these scenes before they recorded the voice acting. English dubs of anime has better lip syncing than this show.
Now you're screwed up. Kung Fu Dino Posse is a cartoon most likely animated in South Korea, and most likely the country this cartoon was originally intended for. What you're looking at is, in fact, a dub, so of course it won't sync up all the time. It's a foreign cartoon. Even if it isn't very good, I think you just judged it way too quickly.
If his point was that it's bad, then it's bad! All you did was dance around the issue by stating where the show was likely animated by saying, oh, of course it's going to be bad, without realizing that, yeah, it could actually be bad, and you're ultimately parroting what Enter said!
What do you want to do with the Dino headquarters? We'll rent it out to a group of rowdy college students. They'll trash the place.
First of all, I don't think you're one to talk down to anyone. Second of all, the target demographic for the show has got to be younger than 7. They probably wouldn't be exposed to the cliche that you're using here.
Talking down. The irony is strong with this one. Anyway, if My Little Pony or any other good cartoon can get away with references like this, why not this one?
Because people actually care about My Little Pony.
Granted, this isn't the most original and best one, but you're treating this reference like Adam Sandler's wrote this.
No flipping comment.
Well, nothing suspicious about that, so the problem must be me. That's it! I'm dreaming!
Yes, you are dreaming. Please jump off a building. When you hit the floor, you'll wake up.
Jesus Christ. I know he's a bit of a joke, but did you really have to go that far?
Does the concept of a riff just not exist to you? Not to mention that, in text, you said that if Enter's going to be disrespectful towards a cartoon, then that somehow gives you the right to be disrespectful to him. Well, can we apply the reverse? If you can bring up dark humor at the expense of Mr. Enter, then why can't Enter bring up dark humor at the expense of Kung Fu Dino Posse? Oops!
On the subject of jokes, if that was supposed to be a joke,
Which it obviously was.
I thought it was absolutely horrible. The nasty tone of voice doesn't help here either. It suddenly sounded like it wasn't a joke and more a threat. In fact, I think the show's sense of humor is better than Enter's is in this video.
I skipped an earlier portion of this video because I didn't have anything to interject with, but suddenly a snippet of that is way more relevant now.
Trying to apply rules to comedy now? I clearly know that you do it. You even said it in one of your reviews.
There are rules to comedy, and if you fail at reaching them, then your comedy will fail.
No, that is not how comedy works. I hate it when people dictate on what's funny or not. If you do the same mistake that Enter is doing, it'll make you look like a bigot. And Enter certainly sounds like a bigot here.
Wow, what a decent point that bites you in your own dingle-dangle. Granted, you say what's funnier than a joke rather than what's funny and what's not, but it's still the same bigger picture. It's apparently okay for you to decide what kind of Enter's jokes are funny, but Enter isn't allowed to do the same. You can beat the whole subjective humors until the cows come home. But not only does that not make the double standards go away, but it also doesn't change the fact that Dragon's debunking a point with his own subjectivity on dark humor. Eat a weenus!
Competence of these dino dopes gives me a rash.
Yep, this villain is essentially a prima donna, just like every f***ing villain in every overly cliched action show ever.
I can certainly take you seriously with a turn in sentence like that.
Yeah, I like women.
If you want to make a good parody, you need to do it of something that takes itself very seriously. Perhaps too seriously. Not a show about mutated turtles that fight crime and eat pizza.
How joyful. More rules to comedy. Besides, there's one movie that disproves your point, and it's called Scary Movie. And what about all those other TMNT parodies?
Wow, there is so much things here. I don't know where to start. For one, do you at all pay attention to your scripts? Literally 2 interjections ago, you got onto him with your little rule of dark humor is Satan when Enter does it, and then you got onto him for his own rule book. Flapjacking Christ. Second, Scary Movie does not debunk Enter's point. As he said that for a parody to work, the original material has to be something that takes itself seriously. Scary Movie parodies horror movies, and I don't see any funny memes in any of those, at least unintentionally. Sure, you can bring up that it parodies other movies that don't take themselves seriously, but you could also argue that it references aspects of their style in comedy, not the movies themselves. In fact, you want to know what does debunk Enter's philosophy? Is that there are clear moments where TMNT does take itself seriously in almost any of the incarnations of it. You just have to watch anything. And thirdly, What about the other TMNT parodies? I mean, you don't go out of your way to say what other parodies out there even exist, but the bigger issue is that this is about Kung Fu Dino Posse. Nowhere in his point does it even allude to other parodies that exist. Go home!
Does this look infected to you?
Yes, I don't know what you're talking about, but this whole show looks infected with something.
I could have easily made a joke on what the show is actually infected with and compared with Enter's illness, but that just would have been mean.
If it wasn't clear that you weren't trying before, then you sure as Fire Emblem aren't doing it now!
From now on, you'll be known as the Feng Shui Dino Posse.
I hope you run out of milk for your cereal.
I hate you so much right now.
Oh, come on, you're just making this too easy for me.
Step in a puddle with socks on!
You're no fun.
I hope the barber cuts too much of your hair!
What's this? I asked for an all-buckwheat husk pillow. This is Goose Down. Hello? I'm allergic to Goose Down.
And when you're allergic to something, the best idea in the world is to touch it, you f***ing liar.
Allergies aren't always triggered by physical contact with the skin. Considering your possible lack of personal health knowledge, I think I found out why you were sent to the hospital in the first place. Oh, Magnus! You have another patient!
Okay, even as another lol Enter has medical problems, what a meme! This one flat out doesn't work. Now I know I got on to him about the whole rules of comedy thing, but this is different because there's actual facts that makes this joke suck. If you have a lack of knowledge on something, then wouldn't your best bet on how to get that knowledge would be to go to school? Or ask a friend? Or Google? Oh, but no, obviously since this has to do with the medicals, then that means I can continue this meme over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Hey guys, did I send the message now?
That is...
I gotta...
They actually played the wah-wah trumpet. What the hell kind of show is this?
Whoa, watch out, we got a wow truck.
I'm jealous of people that don't know you.
For now, I'm just going to ignore the nitpicks and the bad mouthing.
I bet you like Minions.
Look, dude, you want to be a hero? Take my advice. Forget everything you learned in nerd school. Don't think, just do.
I'm inspired by your leadership, and I'm taking your advice.
Works fine for me. I know I only came off with a scratch.
I guess you can say he's been caught red-handed with his lack of good memes.
And because they blocked the fire exits, they can't get out. Hey, dumbasses. Did you try the front door? I mean, fire exits exist so you can escape if their path to the front door has been blocked by fire. But there's no fire here. Use the front door! Use a f***ing window!
Oh, good grief. First oil rigs, then personal health knowledge, and now fire doors.
Kill me now! You're a pooper!
You're clearly thinking with the wrong mindset and have, once again, little knowledge on the true way something works. Fire door is used as an alternative exit, altogether, not just for fires.
Hey, you can see the entire point flying over Dragon's Head up from good old Hill Land. Enter brought up how because there was no fire, they can use the front door because it's not blocked by fire! Not because, oh, there's no fire, so that means they can't use fire doors. Even if Enter seemingly doesn't know how fire doors work, that does not debunk how they can't just heck off to the main door when they pretty much have every right in the world to do so. And even still, just because you can use them as an alternate exit, why in the holy heckerim do you think they're called fire doors? Because they're designed with fires in mind, and that's what Enter even states in this video. It's like eating toothpaste. Yeah, you can eat it, but that doesn't invalidate how toothpaste was made for keeping your teeth shiny and your breath smelling good in mind.
Also, let's make a little scenario similar to this. Imagine you were a robber in a building with no windows, and the police was coming through the building. Do you take the logical option and take the nearest fire exit, or exit in general, or do you take Enter's option and go for the main entrance and possibly get busted or shot dead?
But who's to say that the police wouldn't have you surrounded, even with guards on the exits of the paths led by fire doors? Not to mention any fingerprint tracking, security cameras... Wait, what does this have to do with anything? Like, how does an actual robbery compare to just a cartoon? You really confuse me.
To be honest, I'm not surprised you're obsessed over a main entrance so much. He does have Enter in his name.
This is the funniest joke you have ever made without relying on a media clip. Congratulations.
Those worms only obey commands from Score.
Do you, mind reading this?
Well, I don't...
Oh, shut up.
The Fitness Gram Pacer Test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that will progressively get more...
And the moral of this episode is that we should listen to the jerk token more often.
Oh, bugger off. This is one of the many major reasons why nobody likes you, Enter. You obsess over morals. I'm not the first person to say it, but I certainly won't be the last. Not every cartoon needs to teach good morals. It can kill the mood on certain genres, and overall kids just don't give a d*** about them.
Okay, where in this review did he obsess over a moral? He just stated what it was. He wasn't being obsessive over anything. This isn't even going into how not everyone dislikes or even knows Enter, especially seeing as how Enter has the subscriber count he does, and you even acknowledge that his fanbase can be rabid, which implies that they do like him, thus destroying the whole nobody likes you point. Sometimes bad morals can be seen as a legit criticism if it can't work in a majority of the ways of life. You could try to come up with a moral in a certain genre of a show. You don't even say what genre shouldn't even have morals in the first place, and you say that kids don't give a Danish roll about them when the point of a moral is to teach lessons, and since kids are far more likely to watch cartoons, it'd be easier to get those lessons since they can learn about life and stuff. There.
And before anyone says he's acting, I'm pretty sure he wasn't. And even if it was horrible, forced, and just unpleasant.
So your only way to counter the possibility of him acting is another possibility that he wasn't because he came off as too harsh. Which could imply that he conveyed that well, which could imply that his acting was successful. I mean, you point out the nostalgia critic who, last I checked, his acting is the last thing to be criticized of him. So if you think he can be successful with this notion, then why can't Enter? Oh yeah, he's like the worst or something.
And the icing on this cake is that he also blames his autism for his anger. Is it really big of a deal? All he needs to do is just take some breaks from his work, go out for a walk, and get some fresh air. Simple as that.
I cannot believe I have to criticize an attempt to help someone. Okay, hi, New Boy strikes again. Where does he state that he blames his autism for his anger? It'd be really cool if you showed a screenshot or a clip or something so New Boy could understand. And you do realize that, well, yeah, sometimes a step away could remedy some things. You do realize that for some people it's not as easy as it seems. Saying, oh, just get some fresh air probably wouldn't really remedy things from the get-go, at least for long. And that's under the implication that he hasn't tried this already. I guess my main issue with this statement is that it's all too vague for a problem that has too many variables to decode anyway. I mean, pretty much anything can have the potential to be good, but whatever.
You know, after that, I'm feeling much better now. The only thing I need to worry about...
Okay, this is my last meme for the video, so I have to make this one count. Okay.
Now is his more special fans. In fact, I can feel their presence. Breathing heavily and...
Well, that's totally not condescending in any way. That's like going to a panel at an anime con hosted by voice actors for English dubs, and during the Q&A, a guy goes up to the mic and goes, "Now, I know English dubs are usually bad, but you guys are alright." And then the entire audience boos at you, and then you state that. It's like, wow, you're the life of the party, aren't you? And on that note, I'm gonna end it here. Look, I know it's your first commentary, so lack of experience making commentaries prior could be a valid excuse as to why this video turned out the way it did, as well as the possibility of you improving from this, but a bad video is still a bad video, regardless of the how or why it exists. I've covered someone else's first commentary about a half a year ago, and don't get me wrong, it was bad, but not on the level of this. It's sad to see that, minus your behavior, the best comparison I can come up with from someone's first expression is the likes of K commentates. You either missed the point, made up a point, or had no point. But if I can give you one thing, you didn't kill my eyes with your visuals. But on the other hand, I can at least give K and the previously mentioned Shadowxx is that they didn't go out of their way to vehemently assault their targets. Look, I don't care about Enter, nor the content he makes, nor the controversies that surround him or his actions, but no matter what, there is no excuse to stoop to any possible low to make your targets feel like crap, regardless of how they might have treated others in the past. Even for a first commentary, that should be basic knowledge. Never, ever, 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 ever be cruel to your targets because, well, I can be disrespectful to a freaking cartoon, so why can't I? I said it before and I'll say it again. It implies that you can be just as bad, if not more, than the person you're covering, which creates a massive double standard. You want my advice? Oh, I'm gonna give you advice like no other man or woman has ever advised before. 1. Don't rely on media clips to tell your jokes. Your videos will have so much flow if you're the one telling them, so that the video won't come to a screeching halt and then back into the fray. Oh, and outright referring to your clips to make points like you did with the VeggieTales clip is, for lack of a better word, cringy. 2. Check your script over and over and over and over and over again. That way you'll be better to notice the amount of times your own script fricks you. And 3, don't take every single opportunity to bring up Mr. Enter's mental health or how he's like the worst person on the planet. I think we got the idea the first time around that you don't like Mr. Enter, and you're not going to get away with the possibility of it being a joke. You yourself brought up that a lot of Enter's jokes aren't jokes because of the tone or delivery, so I have as much of a right to use that against you, considering your tone and delivery. Just because you have as much of a right to be disrespectful at someone just because they were disrespectful at something else, that doesn't make it right! It's more hypocritical than anything, and if it was meant to be more joking, then you ran it into the ground way more than you needed it to. Go by all of these advices and we'll be solid, and we won't have to see another video that makes it look like you're white knighting a cartoon ever again.
Alright guys, over the years we created over 800 plus Pokemon, and now I want to know, which Pokemon is extremely overrated?
No! The end!
Any ideas? Flicks?
Well, maybe we could watch this video here. This could be very helpful.
Who's that Pokemon?
Yeah, this goes on for some time.
Yeah, that wasn't even helpful at all.
Oh.
So what do you think, Guzma?
Overrated? Give me a second. What about Charizard? Everyone loves this Pokemon for some reason, and he isn't that strong at all.
What, you thought I have something to say about this? I actually think this is some interesting satire on most overrated Pokemon list. Charizard's number 1, isn't it?
Hold on, give me a second. So, let me tell you something. First of all, I don't like this Pokemon, and you should accept my—
What did you say, Nick?
You tried your best. No. This intro skit is the draggiest drag to have ever dragged. I guarantee you this wouldn't have lasted a minute and 16 seconds if you cut down the pauses, especially cut down the video clip, put the gunshot sound in the right fucking place, and you know, not sucking dick. Your audio balancing is also fuckish. Consider investing time in that. The visuals are rough around the edges too. I can tell you only wanted to stick with one image throughout the entire skit and play around with keyframes, and that's fine, but you need a better sense of timing with ending your zooms. Oh, and the gun just appears out of the ether and has a stroke. Couldn't have at least keyframed it to come in from one side? At least it would have looked like you're giving some shit. Bottom line, you know we're off to a great start when I immediately noticed that Manga Commons co-op with Gale had better editing than this. And we all know how I felt about that one.
At number 5, we have the Pokemon god himself, Arceus. This Pokemon is pretty strong, but as a god, you have to be strong and powerful. But he isn't.
Psych! So I know what I'm doing.
Are you just out to smash my dick in?
And actually, I never liked this Pokemon for 4 reasons. First of all, people call him the Pokemon god, but there are 2 Pokemon which are stronger than him. For example, Mega Rayquaza or Mega Mewtwo.
Oh boy, you're one of those! Okay, when people say that Arceus is God, they're talking within the Pokemon universe. Arceus was born before the universe and created it, we all know how it goes. You saying, but there are Pokemon statistically stronger than it, doesn't really do heck all to counter it. Base stat totals don't equal higher strengths. After all, a majority of Ubers have stats lower than the 700s. And while you viewers can say that's a much better basis for his argument, trust me, he tackles that in a very strange way. In fact, what's to say that Arceus can't even beat either of those Pokemon? It's got the moves for it after all. I'm not saying you're wrong that Rayquaza and Mewtwo have higher totals, I'm saying you're missing the point.
Second reason, you all know no one can beat a god unless you're a 10-year-old boy on his long journey who captured a lot of Pokemon which are now able to kill this beast with only one move. But he is like,
nah, I don't care. He won't be able to capture me.
Hi, welcome to Word Salad. I have no idea what the fuck you're trying to convey. You go on about how it's actually a bitch because a 10-year-old could beat it, which, okay, sure, maybe I could get behind that, even if it applies to literally any Pokemon, which, yes, it would matter because I know you'll like something amongst those any, but sidetrack aside, you basically did a complete 180. What in the hell fuck are you arguing?
the worst part of it is that every noob or hacker uses this Pokemon because they think,
ha ha, no one can beat me because I have an Arceus in my team.
You know, I was actually gonna go on about how you can't seem to beat one Pokemon that even has its own share of counters, but just in case, let's look at the other slight implication I noticed in this bit. SK said that noobs and hackers use them to constantly think they're unstoppable, implying they aren't, you know. And in the case that you did intend on that, then what the fuck was the point of that last gag that went on for too long about how Arceus is actually living up to its god title? Remove that and your segment would have still been wrong, but at least it would have been wrong and consistent.
And in Japan, Pokemon fans love him for some reason.
You're a fucking idiot.
He's a freaking llama. Why do people love this Pokemon?
Oh, why do people love this god guy so much? He's just a dude with a beard. On a less blasphemous note, do we really want to watch a video where part of a guy's argument for a claim is just, why do people like this so much? What is there to love about it? Here's what you actually sound like you're saying. I don't like it, so by all accounts, I don't have to understand it.
Oh boy, a genuine legendary Pokemon. Okay, Mr. Mewtwo, tell us something about ya.
This goes on for some time too.
Let's see. Well, a lot of people say that I'm overrated and stuff. It's a shame that people think such horrible things about me.
Yeah, like you're not that good in subjective eyes? What the fuck?
I appeared in many Pokemon movies. Reappeared in Pokemon X and Y in Super Smash Bros. Also, I've got my own shadow form in 2 Mega Evolutions, but I ain't overrated. It's because I got so much love of my creators and fans. I'm just a normal psychic legendary Pokemon, which was the strongest Pokemon in the entire world. Until Arceus appeared.
Either way, strongest Pokemon in the world doesn't really sound like your normal psychic type, but whatever.
And now, leave me alone or I will kill you with this gigantic spoon. Any questions?
You're not actually gonna kill me with a spoon, are you? Of course not. But look, I get you wanting to present something that goes beyond the typical narration, but come on, man. Not even gonna try to make this unique? Or cohesive? Actually, while I'm thinking about this, I don't even think this would have worked on paper. I don't know. The prospect of the content creator encountering a legendary Pokemon that monologues about how it itself is apparently overrated, kills you, and then teleports away sounds really dumb when I say it out loud, doesn't it?
At number 3, we have 2 Pokemon. Starting off with Eevee. Yep, Eevee is an overrated Pokemon.
Yup, that Pokemon you like isn't all that good because of my own opinion. Suck my fuck, but don't kill my dick.
I don't like this Pokemon. It's just a cute Pokemon which has a lot of fans, especially little kids, because of those guys who caught an Eevee in the Pokemon series.
It's weird that a weak Pokemon gets so much attention of everybody, sometimes more than Mewtwo.
How about you and your other voice that can't be bothered to be on screen shut your mouths? Seriously, apparently it's bizarre that people like a Pokemon because it's cute? Don't think I'm misinterpreting things here. You heard what Audio Filter over here said. Bitch! Pokemon are liked for a multitude of reasons, not just because they are so competitively viable. Why can't you seem to realize that?
And now let's talk about Cosmog, aka Nebby. Seriously, this Pokemon was so annoying in the game, but still, it was pretty funny to see how Lily freaks out all the time.
Nebby, get the fucking bag!
Nebby is kinda like an internet star because of his actions. I found tons of memes from this Pokemon, and many Pokemon trainers called their own Cosmog Nebby. I like this Pokemon. It's a special Pokemon because it's the first Pokemon which can evolve into 2 different Pokemon. Actually, I hope that we will see more of it in the future.
Hello, I'm Slappy the Foot Doctor. I'm here to doctor your foot. Oh, this is a predicament. Your foot doesn't even seem to exist anymore because you seem to have shot it so many fucking times there's nothing left to even shoot anymore. Couldn't you instead listen to the fucking Backstreet Boys? They have a new album, listen, and there's fucking hardcore! Okay, you viewers should have caught that SK put 2 Pokemon in 1 entry, and I have a hunch that someone is wondering why I never used it against him. I went into this in a video on someone else's channel, but in case you don't remember or never saw it, I'll give the short, slightly updated version. Complaining about ties in your countdowns comes off like you're filling up more time for your commentary and like you're saying a video should be readjusted based on whatever philosophy you have. You're allowed to not like ties and countdowns, but what I'm saying is that it ultimately doesn't matter, and you saying it doesn't automatically mean adjustments have to be accommodated. That being said, SK, why the ding-dong dick did you even put Cosmog on the list. You say basically nothing negative about it, other than it was annoying, yeah, but even then, it's not enough to really warrant a tie on the segment because you comparatively have more to say about Eevee. I don't even think it's enough to put it on the list, compared to everything else you've said so far. There, guys. Now do you get it?
Yep, those Pokemon are overrated, and don't ask me why, because you don't want to hear it.
Which is why I'll show you!
Some people call them waifus, and it's interesting to see that Pokemon fans want to build up a relationship with a Pokemon. Well, that's messed up.
Are you fucking kink-shaming? Let me bang my horsey! And my shark! And my gears! And my Mexican! And my nipples!
Those Pokemon ain't strong or kinda like that. Okay, I agree. They all just look fine, and that's it.
What?
Man, it feels so strange right now. Do I really have to do this?
The fact that your subtitle is there due to your quiet line delivery and your chlamydia of an audio balancing job does capture the awkward tone of this segment. Just in a, different way.
Don't get me wrong or something. Charizard looks cool and stuff, but I would never use him in a battle.
Charizard's number 1, isn't it? God damn it! Alright, let's hear it.
Maybe I've realized that Charizard always appeared in every new game of Nintendo. For example, Super Smash Bros. Or Pokemon Tournament DX, etc. Or also in the anime. There's always one trainer who has a Charizard as a companion. And this freaking Pokemon got 2 Mega Evolutions. This Pokemon does not deserve 2 Mega Evolutions, like seriously!
And it was as samey and substanceless as I thought. Okay, before I get into final thoughts, I gotta ask, why was Mewtwo at number 4 when your number 1 had mostly the same complaints, with 6 air quotes? Shouldn't it at least be runner-up? Alright, listen here, and this goes out to everyone that has made or considered making an overrated Pokemon list. If most of your argument is, ugh, this Pokemon doesn't deserve to be popular, then just stop. Yeah, just stop. You can't control what's popular and what isn't, so I doubt you should even have a say on that matter. I get that it's your opinion, but in the context of an overrated list, the kind of lists that are designed to be contrarian, it only serves to give others shit for things you disagree over. And even if it's not the intention, it's so easy to come off like that, given how these lists normally go. And yet, overrated lists are still being made, and you know what? I would be more disappointed, but it gives me more commentary material, so you know what? Fuck it!
Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all, right? Yeah, sure. But not every Pokemon is worth catching.
You sure about that? You can argue that just about any Pokemon has some reward to it, like good statistics, HM slaves, hell, even item grinding, if you, for some fucking reason, don't have Thief. Hell, if you place your cards right, you can make work out of any Pokemon, even if they're the most bottom-of-the-barrel shit fuckery of the bunch. I doubt there's really a Pokemon that's not worth catching, although I'll admit some Pokemon are easier to find worth in than others.
This for A. I will list my top 10 least favorite Pokemon. Maybe your favorite Pokemon will be on this list, so please, I will say it again. I don't want to see this video get spammed with flame wars. This list will contain something called an own opinion, and therefore it will be 100% biased. It's my countdown after all, so if you can't handle this, then go away or just deal with it.
Well, shit, I guess I have to pack it up then. You're the boss, I'm not gonna do anything to your list if it's your opinion. I guess I'm just wrong by default. Woe is me, man. I really wanted to get a cracking on that sweet opinion list. I will fucking shit! Also, what was that about the whole I have this thing called an opinion bullshit? Yeah, so does everyone else on the planet. What the fuck's your point?
And because it is a very touchy video in the first place, I will just disable the ratings because, let's face it, the internet is not a place where people take personal bias very well.
How fucking frightened can someone be about opinions that they would go out of their way to disable ratings right off the bat because...
Guys, help! I can't handle a case of disagreement, so everyone's out to get me!
Okay, despite how not everyone on the internet is like this, you do realize how fucking hypocritical this practice is, right?
Warning! Warning! H-word used on site. Repeat, H-word used on site.
Turn off those sirens and let me explain, or else I will buy you an armadillo and shoot it in your back lawn. I know being a hypocrite doesn't automatically make a person wrong by default, but in this case, Yana is in the wrong, since she's willing to project her opinion out to the world, but the moment someone is going to project opinions onto you, suddenly you want nothing to do with it. It's like, fucking come on, at least let someone in on why they disagree with you, for fuck's sake. Huh? Well, this raises a whole new issue. Even if I did agree with your disabling ratings, why bother keeping the comments up? The comment section's where shit's get really dicey. Not the fucking like to dislike ratio. What?
Oh, and also, see all of these Pokemon here?
Yeah, I can see them multiplying by the frames. Oh god, get them away!
Against them. So if you clicked on this video just to hear me bash them, then this is not the kind of countdown you were looking for. Actually, I don't despise derpy or weak Pokemon. I have the tendency to loathe broken, overpowered and annoying Pokemon.
Okay, hold the fuck! What did you say at the beginning of your own video?
Not every Pokemon is worth catching.
Yet, you yourself say you tend to despise broken Pokemon, implying that by some, you mean these Pokemon on my list. Implying that by broken, you mean Pokemon that, in competitive standards, are worth catching. Implying that contradictions, thus implying that...
Sorry, I don't... And the last rule, ties are allowed.
Oh! So you don't mind if I come in and just whack you with my...
what are you doing?
Large!
Oh, please don't.
Hard!
Ty, come on, there are better ways to handle it. Why not just settle with a game of checkers?
And black!
Oh god, Wait, what?
Arguments!
You know what? I want nothing to do with this. Go ahead and swing.
Well, Autumn, as long as you don't mind if I do.
Well then, let's not waste any time and start with the countdown. I hope you will enjoy this more than I do.
Good Jesus, I really don't want to be that guy, but can you at least take a fucking Ritalin first? I mean, all you're doing is a least favorite Pokemon list. There really isn't that much of a reason to be so anxious here. Yana, I'll send you cookies.
This for I always hear people complain that they hate Garbodor because it is the garbage Pokemon. Do you know what a true garbage Pokemon is? This thing!
Hey, Ty!
Yes, Max?
You like Gatorade, right?
I mean, it's alright. I wouldn't normally drink it, but if I'm in the mood for some, I probably would.
Wait a minute. I don't want to hear it. Your little mind always falls into what's trendy these days. Your pathetic drinks don't even come close to the pinnacle of drinks right here.
That's not a drink, that's a bottle of ketchup!
Oh, really? Well, semen's not primarily a drink, and yet it's loved by men and women everywhere.
Whoa, you motherfucker! Are you suggesting that I'm some sort of slave to basic consumerism?
What's that? I can't hear you over my enjoyment for a real product. Furthermore...
Alright, this has gotten out of hand.
Blah, blah, blah. Oh god, my fucking pelvis!
Now, believe it or not, there was an actual point to be had. Thank you for waiting. Retracting one's attention from an opinion, especially if it's a literal representation of garbage, and especially if it's a rather popular opinion, to point to something completely different and say, nuh-uh, this is garbage, you're garbage. Ooh, get garbage. Like, cool, you have an idea on what's garbage, but that's not guaranteed to make others change their minds. If anything, they might be less likely to take you seriously, as Farfetch is also a terribly received Pokemon within most of the Pokemon fandom. The overall question is...
What? This Pokemon made me go, why, Game Freak? Why? We do not need to have this Unibrow duck Pokemon.
Okay, hold up. First of all, your footage is flipping the fuck out. I know those are very brief flashes of glitch hell, but in this portion there are enough to get anyone with at least a slightly below average editing attention span to notice. And people with a super high school level editing boner, like me, will tell you to either Google the fact that your footage is fucking out or to use another piece of footage. Second,
we do not need to have this Unibrow duck Pokemon.
Says who? This might come off as a big shock to you all, but Pokemon aren't made with the basis of competitive smog and faggotry stats in mind. They're made on the basis of world building. You know, shit that pretty much all RPGs need to have. I'm not arguing over whether we really want this Pokemon, but the fact of the matter is, if there's an idea and enough dedication, it's going to be put into motion. And for a series that's based around catching them all, we gotta have something to keep us going on that front.
In my opinion, this Pokemon sucks. It's the only Pokemon with dreadful stats on this list, I might add.
Hey, remember when Yana said to keep in mind that she normally dislikes overpowered Pokemon? Yeah, what the heck is this? Granted, you're allowed to dislike things for different reasons, but spoiler alert, the next 3 entries contain Pokemon that aren't often considered overpowered. Meaning that she should have waited until the time came to declare that she doesn't like overpowered Pokemon, so it wouldn't come off as inconsistent when she brushes over the first few segments.
Back on topic, this Pokemon really coins the term garbage. The design, garbage.
Okay, and? You want to explain why its design is garbage?
Warning! Warning! Overused criticisms on the run. Repeat, overused criticisms on the run.
I will order you a VHS copy of Dumbo and ship it to the wrong address! What you're doing here is applying subjective shit to say something's garbage. I'm on this because I don't see what you're on about. You want to let me know why it's bad? You must have sucked at show and tell.
Stats, garbage. Move pool, well, it's okay actually. But with these dreadful stats, you can't utilize them anyway. So again, I call garbage.
Technically you can. I mean, I reckon you can get some mileage out of it in the single-player campaign if you're ballsy enough. Granted, I wouldn't know how well you could get the job done, but you're arguing that something can't get mileage out of it at all, which is really stretching it. Despite my world-building argument, I'm sure Game Freak would make Pokemon usable in some category in some portions of the game.
It also has the most unoriginal type combination in the game. Wow, normal flying. We haven't seen that before.
Stop. Just because something's unoriginal doesn't mean it's bad by default. I am fucking sick of this notion, end it please. You are taking me way too far back into pre-2014 Countdown community. Please don't!
But why would anyone want to use this thing in battle?
Challenge? Variety? For the meme? Fucking at least I'm providing possibilities instead of saying so much while providing so little.
Even when it is holding the stick item, it won't do a whole lot of damage. Oh, and that special hold item that is only usable on Farfetch increases what? Crit hacks, not attack or anything useful, no. It boosts the critical hit ratio.
While yes, an increase in guaranteed attack power does sound better than an increase in chance, even though in Gen 6 the 2-stage increase makes your crit chance 50-50, which does sound pretty beastly, you have to understand that there's more to critical hits than you think. Not only does a critical hit deal 1.5 times the damage of a normal attack, but it deals that damage while ignoring any stat modifications, including secondary effects that come from burns, light screens, and reflects. As a result, there's now a chance that Farfetch will do some good in battle. Yes, there are abilities that will prevent crit chance, but there's an applicable solution to this. It's called switching out.
The majority of competitive players hate crit hacks, as it requires zero strategy. It's basically just luck, which the competitive scene is trying to bring to an absolute minimum for years.
Yes, there are specific bans of competitive play that are in the realms of luck. See the evasion and moody clauses for example. But here's the thing, there's nothing banning anything about improving crit chance, since you cannot eliminate critical hit chance altogether as there's a default ratio in the game's code. Also about the whole majority of players hate crit hacks, I mean you can say that, but more often than not, that's if they're on the receiving end. It's competition. I doubt the supposed majority would mind if they get a crit to at least put them in a much cozier spot. In fact, given the more drastic situations, players will likely hope for crit chance, and with certain sets on certain Pokemon, players will likely rely on it. Actually, before I get into the next segment, I just want to ask if you could speed up your fade-outs, transitions, and fade-ins, please, and thank you.
This spot is a tie between two Pokemon that are very similar to each other, but I dislike them for different reasons. Say hello to Lopunny and Diggersby.
If you dislike these Pokemon for different reasons, then what's the point of making a draw? Normally when these kinds of situations happen, it's likely because it's for similar reasons. Unless the reason here is that there's not a gap for preference/distaste between these two Pokemon, but you should have made that clear. So far, the only vibe I'm getting for the draw is because... bunnies. If I have to guess on the reasons behind your decisions when you point them out, then that's what some of us like to call shit writing.
Let's start this off with Lopunny. Lopunny was not needed at all.
Fucking again with the this Pokemon is not needed part. It was a shit point to begin with, and the fact that you're repeating it shows me that you, to put it kindly, struggled with this script and not really made that much of an effort to change it. It was even used as an opener to your arguments in the last segment, feeling even more copy-pasted.
Lopunny is based off of a Playboy bunny. Really, Game Freak? That's like the worst thing you can have to base a Pokemon off of. and in an E-rated game no less.
Not really. I mean, it could be worse. There could be a Pokemon that looks like a drag queen. Well, I mean, there could be a Pokemon that's based off of a Mexican stereotype. Okay. Imagine this, and hear me out on this one too. What would you think if they made a Pokemon that looks like a vagina? Imagine the field day people would have with that. I now have meningitis.
Why do you censor a lot of things that are actually harmless, and then you proceed to base a Pokemon off of something that is clearly linked to sexuality? Confusion much?
Except a big factor of its controversy comes from the possibility of it being based off of a Playboy bunny. Just because something looks like something, that doesn't mean you have to automatically assume that it's a direct representation. Think about the demographic Game Freak's trying to appeal to. Do you really expect everyone to be oh so offended or oh so turned on by this whole thing? Oh, and as for the people that do see the comparison and are still bothered by it, Lopunnies have a 50% chance of having dicks. Get over yourselves.
Lopunny is an oh-so-common normal-type Pokemon, which is sadly strong enough to tick you off. It got a Mega Evolution with the release of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which looks unappealing.
Oh look! Again with the distaste of its design without going into further detail! Look, if you have a template for working this shit out, that's fine, but the least you can do is rearrange it so you won't sound redundant.
And I really started to dislike this plant bunny when I had to fight Flint in Pokemon Pearl. 2 words. Mirror code.
And I have 2 words for myself that took out Lopunny with little to no issues. Physical attacker. Alright, I get it, you probably didn't know that at the time, and maybe if you did, you still had a bad experience. But what's to stop me from bringing up an easy solution?
But then we got another lousy bunny. Meet Diggersby. It's a lame normal ground type Pokemon with mediocre stats, but it is still strong enough to annoy me in online matches. And it also is really ugly. I will just stick with Azumarill.
No joke, that was literally all she had to say about Diggersby, thus making the draw even more pointless, but whatever, I still have things to bring up. First of all, yes, Diggersby doesn't have the best typing or stats in the world, but there are reasons why it's OU, the biggest of which is thanks to huge power, which doubles its attack stat. Combine that with some great stab coverage, excellent boosting moves, and 2 immunities, and you have a fearsome Pokemon in the metagame. Second, you immediately follow up with how you don't like its typing and stats by still being an annoyance somehow. Hey, that's some pretty good consistency. Seriously though, why the hell did you not do your research and bring what I said up? It would have helped your latter claim, and you could have taken out the former claim instead of this jumbled up mess of an argument. To which I still would have brought up the abundant and easy counters to it, but I digress. Actually, that would present a whole new problem to the table, but that will be saved for later. I mean, other than that, I'd be repeating myself like Yana's been doing, so let's move on.
This for A. And here comes another tie on my list. Enter the Ursaring and Beartic lines.
Hold up. Ursaring? Enlighten me.
Okay, I have to admit that this entry is very personal. I happen to have a huge grudge against bears. Bears are, hands down, the most overrated animal ever, next to horses.
Well, I feel enlightened! Just gonna shove that opinion, not fact, down my throat? Yana, whoa there, please. I at least want to have dinner before I get fucked.
You cannot even walk into a toy store without seeing at least 10 teddy bears. In the media, especially in older cartoons, bears were always presented as super strong. Wow, so cool. Ultimate animal, can't beat them. And I was so fed up with this as a child. Sure, there were some exceptions, but it became such a cliche that I'm just annoyed by it. And, oh, by the way, bear cubs aren't that cute in my opinion, so why do a lot of people obsess over them?
Yana, you have spent almost an entire minute going to town on our asses without any lube. What the fuck? Cool, you don't like teddy bears. Just say that you don't like teddy bears and move on. Who actually cares about your story? We're here to know why you dislike these Pokemon. Also, you just gotta love the whole, I have X opinion, so therefore I gotta question why it's so popular. That's not at all a douchey slap in the face. Teddy bears are a staple and cute fuzzy buddies for children alike. There's your answer. Now heck off.
So it didn't come as a surprise that I wouldn't like Beartic, Ursaring, and their pre-evolutions.
Alright, but what about Pangoro and its family? I know there are more pandas, but oh, look, pandas are still bears. If you hate bears so much, why not at least mention him so people like me won't be confuzzled for the 17th millionth time? Also, before I'm called out for shoving things where it's unfit, I mean, hey, it still applies regardless, so fucking...
On top of that, they have meh stats, types that do not go along well with their below average defense stats, horrible shinies, and the designs are ugly in my opinion. Earthring looks really dumb with that giant ring on its stomach. Beartic drooling spit is frozen, which looks just stupid and gross at the same time.
Whoa, hold on! Now you're giving some attention to the designs? Where the hell was this in the last 2 segments? I appreciate that you're finally explaining, but your lack of an attempt to do so previously further shows your writing's inconsistent. And trust me, this too gets way worse later down the line.
Okay, now we are done with the Pokemon that have bad or mediocre stats, and now we are entering the realm of broken and annoying. If there's one thing that makes a Pokemon detestable for me, then that would be brokenness. And now I will tackle the only dragon Pokemon on this list, Garchomp.
Maybe it's some sort of a coincidence? Fuck you.
Or more like, Garchomp.
Fuck you!
This for A.
It also has a shiny form so similar to its original that you need a microscope to see the difference.
Hold up, what the hell is this? Now don't misunderstand me, if she wants to have a visual representation, then that's fine, but like, do you not know how to at least enlarge and keyframe? You know, 2 very easy to access features in Sony Vegas? I say this because if you expect me to pause and read this, I fucking can't since the text is so small and it doesn't help that your maximum video quality doesn't even meet high definition. I see what you're trying to do with this, but either enlarging it to at least allow people to read it, or just to look at something better, or just stick with those shitty GIFs. In fact, the latter option would be better since we at least have a visual representation that I can fucking understand. Unless your microscope metaphor applies to me reading the fucking thing, then you certainly accomplished that. I'm just gonna be skipping a bit about how Gen 4 Garchomp is fucked because, well, yeah, it actually was fucked. I can't counter that.
A lot of dragons had this problem apparently, so Generation 6 wanted to buff dragons like Garchomp by introducing the fairy type.
Okay, I can see where you're about to go with this statement, but I'm gonna have to pause for a sec to point out a couple things. Starting with something that was apparent throughout the entire video, but the issue has only just now peaked. Your audio balancing sucks. No joke, I had to play that sentence about 4 times before I could even come close to understanding what you were saying. Not only does the music at its lowest match your voice, but your transition audio is quieter than everything else, and that crowd booing section on top of the music made it hard to make you out. Lower your music volume down, and it'll be better to understand you when you're quieter. Your editor has a master volume to the side by default. Play around with the audio tracks to the point where everything peaks at the same height. This also isn't taking into account that your statement isn't even entirely true, since when X and Y dropped, Garchomp was the only dragon type to get a Mega, and Ampharos and Charizard were the only ones to gain a dragon typing. Now before you bring up Oras, 1, it's still not much compared to a majority of the types represented, and 2, Yana's footage shows only X and Y, and her statement about introducing fairies implies that she's talking about when Gen 6 was introduced. Now Yana, if you didn't mean this, then please let me know, but otherwise saying that Game Freak buffed dragons, while actually buffing an already existing dragon, and introducing a new type that was advertised to counter them is jank wording.
This sounds all nice and dandy, but tell me, why did it get a Mega Evolution? It didn't need one in the first place. Why do they buff Pokemon that don't need a buff, while ignoring ones that just are asking to get one? That's like giving steroids to Chuck Norris. You got to know when enough is enough.
Well, yes, it didn't really need a Mega. I'm more rendered skeptical on your Chuck Norris comparison. And no, not for the sake that it was a Chuck Norris joke. Fine. Here's the thing about those Mega steroids, they aren't flawless. First of all, your comparison sucks dick, as Chuck Norris is made out to be this god amongst men with 0 weaknesses, while Garchomp has a couple checks to him, like his quad weakness to ice and how his stab moves can easily be checked since a lot of Pokemon in the metagame resist them. Second, Garchomp can have a held item, so no Choice Band or Scarf Sweep, or even Yachi Berry Focus Sash sustainability. Third, Garchomp's speed is reduced, and while you can argue that pales in comparison to its attack buff, turning it more into a wall breaker, which in hindsight you're right, according to Cerebee's top 300 Pokemon by speed, Mega Garchomp's spot drops by approximately 90. Almost 1/6 of the entire roster, as of Gen 6 at least. Even if speed wasn't taken into account, Ice Shard, a priority move, and a very common one at that will certainly make it sweat. And even then, you brought up that fairy types were introduced, implying balance checks, thus why are you still on this? I know I brought up Ironhead in my favorites list, but since Mega Garchomp can be outsped by a lot of competition, I just want to point out that it's a risk that, more often than not, isn't worth the final reward. In fact, you want to know something? There are more Smogon sets for normal Garchomp than there are for Mega Garchomp. Just saying. Now, I'm skipping a majority of the Bronzong segment as, again, it's decently provided with how annoying Bronzong was back in Gen 4. But there's something I'd like to say at the end of that segment.
This for add some leftovers, and this thing will drive you crazy. Since Generation 6, the Steel type lost its Ghost and Dark resistances, so now Bronzong isn't that big of a wall anymore, but it is still very annoying, and I still don't like facing it.
Except here's the thing though, yeah, it can be considered an annoyance if you're playing an RU, and any tier higher, it's not a very viable option thanks to the Steel nerf, which makes it weak to moves like knockoffs, so bye-bye leftovers. It also doesn't help that its average offensive stats and poor speed make it setup bait for some of the more dangerous Pokemon in the OU tier. Adding on to this, even as a support, it's outclassed by Pokemon like Cresselia, no thanks to its lack of recovery moves to help sustain its bulk. Yes, you can argue that I'm helping your case about Bronzong not being that great anymore. She still backtracked to say that it's still an annoyance, which, when piled on by newer and better Pokemon and mechanics, kinda changes that claim. I'm gonna be skipping over the Kangaskhan segment as well, since, yeah, I also can't disagree the fact that Mega Kangaskhan is a cunt and deserves to have his child taken out to a fancy dinner, then on a flight to Florence, but before it lands, it can't even use the bathroom because it's occupied every 5 seconds, so it's gotta deal with that stress of flying while having to almost shit itself, and on top of that, its credit card mistakenly charges for airline food twice, but it didn't even know that the card was charged twice because the stewardess is a fucking cunt. But when the plane lands, the child had fucking shat itself right before it even got to the restroom, so rip there. I'll just skip to the end. It dies of chlamydia.
Sorry, I don't. It's about time a legendary appears on my list. This time, I will rant about Terrakion. Terrakion has the ability Justified, which raises its attack stat once it gets hit by a Dark-type attack. You can abuse this ability by having a Sneasel on the field during a double or triple battle. Let it use Beat Up on Terrakion, and watch how its attack stat gets boosted 6 times. Now Terrakion uses Rock Slide, and you're pretty much screwed. Gosh, that was annoying.
Okay, that's fine and dandy and all, but if this annoyed you that much, then don't do double battles? I mean, yeah, you're sacrificing what you want to do, but hey, it's a solution to the problem. And hell, it's not like this is a surefire perfect strat anyway. You know what's a big counter to this? Speed control, like Trick Room and Tailwind. And in a near instant, you'll get ahead because of that. What, Terrakion has taunts? Just use Fake Outs. Or hell, any other priority move like Mach Punch, Aqua Jet, or Bullet Punch. Since it's not as great defenses and poor defensive typing, let it fall victim to Pokemon that epitomize such priority moves. You wanna know what else works? Follow Me, which redirects any and all punishment to the Pokemon using it, leaving it wide open for punishment. You wanna know what also works? Wide Guard, which protects both Pokemon on your side from moves that damage multiple targets, like Rock Slide. Even then, other Pokemon's very existences counter Terrakion, even in doubles.
The thing is, Beat Up will hit 6 times because it hits once for every Pokemon you have in your party, which is always 6 in triple battles.
Okay, but what about doubles? It doesn't get that max boost since Beat Up will just hit for 4 Pokemon, meaning that it's not as likely to OHKO your Pokemon. Something that even your footage disagrees with you on. Nice!
To make things worse, Rock Slide has a small chance to make the hit Pokemon flinch. So if you survive that 6 boosted stab attack Rock Slide from a beast with a base attack stat of 129, there's still the chance that you will flinch. Hooray.
And there's the chance where it won't, which, play your cards right, will fuck Terrakion without getting the chance to a dinner date.
I really got fed up with this because I ran into this exploit for at least 3 times a day. I don't want to build a team to go around that exploit, that would be too centralizing. And that's why I hate Terrakion.
So you don't want to attempt to fix your own goddamn problem? I mean, it's one thing to not have time for it, but if you encounter the strat as often as you say you do, then shouldn't that mean that it's on you for not attempting to fix it? I can't tell if you're lazy or flat out stubborn. Here's some advice: adapt. That's how you can get ahead in really any competitive scene.
As most of you may have figured out already, I hate Pokemon that exploit things. I prefer honest and well thought out strategy. Strategy also means to not spam an attack over and over again.
I mean, again, whatever helps you get ahead of the game. If you're out to win, then sometimes you can afford to be a gigantic block of cheese. Sure, it's not how everyone wants to play, but, and especially if we're talking about Pokemon, if it's a win, then it's a win. Sometimes you have to rely on your complete bullshittery to gain an advantage. Strategy may be important, but it's not always important, especially since Pokemon already has plenty of luck elements to it.
Yes, Typhlosion is hands down my least favorite starter.
Do you hate me?
Why? Well, for those who have battled Typhlosion online, what would you expect it to use? It spams Eruption, that's what. This is really annoying.
Okay, this was a problem throughout the entire video, and like the audio balancing issue, it wasn't glaring until the moment I realized this, but get a fucking thesaurus. Seriously, every time you begin to rant on a strategy you don't like, it always starts off with, "This is really annoying." No, Yana, what's annoying is you not coming up with different ways of saying it, or even just moving on to your explanation.
Almost every Typhlosion I saw online kept spamming Eruption, an attack that has a base power of 150. Combine this with Typhlosion's 109 special attack and 100 base speed, slap some choice specs on it, and anything on your team that doesn't resist fire, isn't as bulky, or as slow, will be Poke-toast. This is especially annoying in double battles, since Eruption will hit both of your Pokemon. Sure, Typhlosion is not an OP Pokemon by any means, but it sure is annoying.
Again, your complete disregard to a thesaurus means you can't go a segment without calling something annoying at least twice. I think we got the idea at some point. But that's not why I stopped you. Here's a fantastic question. Why is this higher than Terrakion? That's not even my bias speaking here. I'm legit curious. You didn't even go out of your way to provide an explanation for this, and even worse, the explanations you provided for Terrakion heavily outmatched Typhlosion. The Typhlosions you say encounter don't have any stat boost, while the Terrakions do. Thus, with my calculations, Typhlosion's Eruption has 150 power at full health, but we'll get to that later, while a times 4 Rock Slide is 225, but since you said times 6 earlier, that equates to 300! Literally double the power of Eruption! It's even better offensively since it has 1 less type resistance and it even has a chance to flinch. Meanwhile, Eruption's power decreases the more it gets hit, and that leads me to my next point that Terrakion, and this is gonna hurt me, is an objectively better Pokemon than Typhlosion. Not just by tiers, not just by how it's more offensive and faster, but by means of counters. Typhlosion's lack of diverse move pool and stat buffing moves make it like 10 times easier to counter than the Terrakion strat you brought up. I fucking love Typhlosion, don't get me wrong, as I made that clear before, and you're still allowed to dislike it, but if your facts are wrong, then you're wrong! If even your own footage and pictures make Terrakion out to be better, then that's a huge problem! You put a lack of thought and care into this list, and we're not even done yet!
This for A.
Oh boy. What do you get when you combine annoying, spammy, and brokenness? You get Aegislash.
You know, why am I even still surprised?
I hate Aegislash. I can't really say that it sucks, because the thing is, it is just too good. First off, Aegislash is able to switch between its sword form, which is super offensive, and its shield form, which is super defensive. Both of these forms have their own stat distribution, while having the same base stat total. The thing is, switching between these forms is so easy and so exploitable that technically, Aegislash's stats look more like this. You know what that means? Aegislash has effectively a base stat total of 720, making it as strong as Arceus. Freaking Arceus, the god of Pokemon. Aegislash also has the move King Shield, which actually activates its ability. It's like Protect on crack, because when you touch it via a physical move, your Pokemon's attack stat gets lowered by 2 stages. 2 stages! How ridiculous is this?
Here's the thing about that, though. You're making it out as if Aegislash can switch to its form so easily and without consequence. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Aegislash can't use King Shield more than once upon repeated succession, meaning that it cannot stay in Shield form forever, meaning it's going to have to attack sometime. And even then, that's a risk on its own. Blade form has abysmal defenses, meaning that almost any super effective hit with an attacker with a defense that can even survive the attack, or with a Focus Sash, will put it down. Sure, it has access to Focus Sash or leftovers for sustain, but those can be knocked off as well as dealing super effective damage. Sure, it's a bit tricky to work around, but you say you love strategy so much, why not have a Prankstermon? Those have a deserving place on almost any team, and can cripple Aegislash to the point where it all falls on chance for it to do anything. This comes with another issue. Aegislash's form switches, from most trainers, is often repetitious and easy to predict what it's going to do. It can't stay in either form forever, and it has to use a turn to revert back to its shield form, meaning that before long it'll be easy to tell what it will do, so you can, you know, Strategize.
This alone forces the game to heavily rely on mind games, and just because of Aegislash's presence itself. One wrong prediction and you're done for.
Oh, wait a heck! I thought you liked strategy! You know, what can be used to describe mind games to where you have to think about your next move and plan accordingly? Now that Aegislash comes up, you want nothing to do with it? What is this? Oh, this also raises another question. How is this higher than Terrakion? If you love your silly little strategy so much, then why is one that entirely revolves around higher than one you said requires no strategy? What is your definition of it anyways?
Additionally, Aegislash can learn moves such as Shadow Sneak, which is a high priority move. This, along with King Shield and its 150 base attack, makes its slow speed stat practically non-existent. Oh, and good luck surviving that 150 base attack stab Shadow Sneak.
Technically, it's not that hard to. Aegislash does have stronger moves, meaning that without any boost, will leave it vulnerable since the likelihood of survival is higher with Shadow Sneak than, say, Shadow Claw. That's why Shadow Sneak's really used to finish off opponents with low HP. Now, this might contradict to what I said about priority moves finishing off Terrakion, and you'd be right, but given a different context, and suddenly we're in an alternate realm of reality. Since Yana stated that Aegislash might as well not have a speed stat if it's going to spam priority moves, which is fucking stupid since a shitload of other mons have priority, and will likely land them first since their base speed determines who goes first if two Pokemon use the same priority move. And look how much of a chance it stands!
This thing is just broken. But there's something worse. Something far worse.
Something worse than a Pokemon with an impeccable gimmick? I'd love to see this! Alright, come on. Show me what you have that's worse in a least favorites list. Wait, this isn't going where I think it's going, right?
Before I unveil my number one pick, let's do a quick recap.
No, please. The last time I had to deal with that, I ended up mourning my loss of life in a shitty meme.
This for the A.
Also, I just realized that we have 1 entry to go and this video has 7.5 minutes left. Fuck. Like, sure, if you want to count the possibility of credits and insight and whatnot, but 7.5 minutes for just that? I mean, I've wasted my time with worse, but still, it'd be nicer if you could balance out the length of your segments. Please and thanks.
Okay, now we are here, the number one spot. So far, we've seen Pokemon that were annoying because they were broken, spammy, or because they were overused. Others were just flat out uninspiring. The number one Pokemon combines all of these elements. Trainers abuse its signature move way too often. You see it quite often online, and it is a true game breaker. This Pokemon is literally my worst nightmare come true. Let me put you in a certain situation first. So you're seeking for an online battle, the game found an opponent, okay, that's fine. You take a look at the opponent's team, and then you see this.
Again, like the Ursaring and Beartic segment, it takes you a minute just to tell us what the fuck the entry even was. Except, I'd argue it's worse here since all it is just a categorized build-up and a perspective placement, complete with unnecessary pauses. You could have done that in much less time. For instance... Hey, you know those Pokemon I listed before, right? Some of those were uninspired, while most of them were broken. My number one happens to be both of those. Now imagine how I found out the hard way when I found my literal worst nightmare, Darkrai. See? Same writing style, but much shorter. Of course, looking at the enemy's team, I think he's the problem and not Darkrai. Seriously, dude? You have two of them, and a Palkia and Giratina! What the shit hell is this?
Oh yeah, that's right. I absolutely hate Darkrai. In fact, Darkrai is not only number one on my list, but it is also the number one reason why I made this countdown.
What, as opposed to your number... fucking 7?
Word needs to be spread about how abominable this Pokemon is.
Technically, you can argue that people do know, since it's so broken to be an Ubers. Even if that's not the case, I just love your attitude here. Man, people need to know how bad Darkrai really is. Christ, lady, what are you, a presidential candidate? Hey, looks like I filled my own political agenda. Suck my dick!
I even wanted to put Darkrai on my top 10 characters I want to punch in the face list, but I figured out that it fits better on this list. Although it does deserve a super effective focused punch in the face. Let's start things off, shall we?
Yeah, let's start this off after 2 minutes of fuck all! Great.
First off, Darkrai is the definition of cheap. What's that? You want to win without using any strategy or thought put into your turns? use Darkrai. It doesn't matter if you have an IQ of sandpaper, as you will still be able to win the battle.
You know, I'm still on edge as to why Aegislash is apparently number 2, and the way you complained about it having a strategy behind it. I don't know. Something about this opener isn't letting me take it seriously. I'm not sure as to what it is, though.
So how cheap is it? Darkrai's main objective is to put its foes to sleep with its signature move Dark Void, which by the way can hit multiple Pokemon in double and triple battles. On top of that, Darkrai has the ability Bad Dreams, which causes damage to all sleeping Pokemon on the field. And on top of that, Darkrai learns the move Nightmare at level 38, just so it can be even more of an obnoxious prick. And on top of that, it learns Dream Eater at level 84, just so it can further feed off of your misery. But that's not all. The cheapness continues to ridiculous levels. Darkrai has an amazing special attack stat, so it can finish off everything that's in the helpless sleeping state. Darkrai also outspeeds almost everything in the metagame, so chances are your Pokemon will fall asleep before they get to attack it. This in itself is ticking me off. And to further add insult to injury, Event Darkrai gets access to moves such as Spatial Rend and War of Time. Stop breaking things that are already broken to begin with!
Smog and Bios, you're doing such fantastic wonders for me. Okay, first off, yes, its special attack is good, but not strong enough for it to be independent of a life orb in order to do some real harm. Second, yes, it's pretty fast, but not fast enough to outdo a handful of choice guard foes, as well as being frail enough to be fucked over by revenge killers. Also see my point about prankstermons. Third, yes, Dark Void is a good sleeping move, but not accurate enough and is considered notorious in the community for not being perfect. Now, I understand that using every bit of knowledge and research to counter someone's points is considered a cunty and rather overblown method of proving someone wrong, but here's my motive behind this. Throughout this list, Yana has been bitching about Pokemon for being so good, while not being able to provide any amount of fairness to her claims, implying that these Pokemon are so good that they cannot be countered. Which, knowing anyone with a decent amount of knowledge for competitive Pokemon, will tell you you're full of shit, and have plenty of resources to prove so. I know this research has been uber extensive. Get it? Cause I said uber? But that's kind of the lengths you should probably go if you want to convince someone that certain Pokemon are unstoppable in the first place. Which is an impossibility, but at least you'll be taking more seriously if you at least acknowledge that these Pokemon have flaws. This is a least favorite list, right? You still be bringing up negatives for these Pokemon, regardless of positive context. And before we move on, I have something else I want to say. We all know Darkrai is in Ubers, right? Which is considered the banned tier in competitive play, right? I have a question. Why are you still complaining as if you encounter these issues when you'll only encounter these mons in either Battle Spot or Uber-specific matches? If you're playing by those rules, then you have literally the entire metagame to counter against these Pokemon. Except for Rayquaza, which is a funny story on its own. Actually, now that I mention it, you complain about Pokemon being so good. How do you feel about Mega Rayquaza? Not a lot of types are super effective against it. It has higher than God tier stats and can use a Hell item despite being a Mega Evolution. Its only weaknesses are susceptibility to priority moves and the fact that it takes up a Mega Evolution spot. If you hate broken Pokemon so much, then why not mention the giant green noodle-shaped elephant in the sky? See, I kinda got the idea of bitching about a Pokemon. Then again, it saved me another War Flashbacks joke, so I guess I have that going for it.
And this is my personal opinion, but Darkrai's design is awful. It's an emo boogeyman. How pretentious and tryhard is this?
I honestly think it's kinda cool. With the Nightmare and Shadow motif, a lot of its parts are tattered, like the fog-like head and the parts where shoulders kind of fade off. Plus, the whole Morpheus and Boogeyman motif helps well with what its main battle mechanics are. I'm explaining my points again. I should have just said it just looks bad and provided a one-liner and expect people to agree with me. Fuck, how could I forget the D-tier countdowner way? Then again, I guess Yana over here thinks that if enough thought is put into something, it's considered a try-hard. Fucking eat a car key.
It basically looks like something a 12-year-old scene girl would put on DeviantArt.
Jokes like these remind me the scars of my past. I love murder.
Oh, and Darkrai is not only a douchebag on the battlefield. The Pokédex entry from Pearl states...
No, stop. I'm not gonna listen, let alone care. You're just now bringing up the Pokédex entries at the number fucking 1. I appreciate you doing a bit more research, but here it comes off as trying to find every single little teeny tiny bit to justify hating Darkrai. And 2, by your own admission, convince people why they should think Darkrai is bad too. Especially since it's the first time we're even hearing of the Pokédex. Give me some credit here, at least I've been consistent with my research. In fact, give me a lot of things. I've been here for way too long. I need some hugs and cookies.
Now you might point me to the Platinum Pokédex entry, which states, to protect itself, it afflicts those around it with nightmares. However, it means no harm. Yeah, right, no harm. So tell me, does no harm include tormenting a young boy with horrific nightmares? Does it also include trapping a deceased girl's ghost in eternal nightmares? No, Darkrai is a cruel, heartless monster. Or are you telling me that a legendary Pokemon has to protect itself from human children? You must be kidding.
Well, human children in the Pokemon world are given tools to capture Pokemon. On top of that, these human children are Pokemon that are designed to battle and even made to make capturing Pokemon easier. Anyone with minimal context for Pokemon know this. What do you think that Pokemon was controversial for basically being the video game representation of cockfighting? How? How do you not get this? I'm actually 100% serious with this question. How the hell do you understand how to battle competitively, but not the fact that you're playing as children who are capable of capturing deities?
And now I know what some of you may be thinking.
No, you fucking don't.
Yeah, I got numbers on the...
Yo, did he just walk up slowly and down smash?
But Yana, Darkrai sacrificed itself in the movie. It's a hero. Okay, first off, I clearly stated that I would only consider the main game's canonical settings.
Which is why you use lore to back yourself up for this segment only. Now I understand that this lore comes from the main series games, but if it's contradictory enough to the point where it will even reflect on what it's like in other media, then chances are you should at least take that one trait of it meaning no harm back into consideration.
But you know what? For the sake of this argument, I'll make an exception and break this rule.
Look, I totally understand if you want to break rules to further explain your points. Hell, the phrase, rules are meant to be broken exists for a reason, but when it happens in fucking countdown videos like this, then it's a problem. Before I get to that, I have this to say. Like the Pokédex, you're using other sources to debunk one segment and one segment alone. I've already explained how that's unfair to other segments, but I still want to ask this. What is the point of making the rule if you're gonna break it later on anyway? To me, when you do this, it just comes off as excessive padding that only exists to beat this idea that you hate Darkrai to the ground. It also helps that you don't explain why Darkrai is an exception. You just say that it is and move on to a rant, which, again, is what we like to call shit writing.
So what did Darkrai do in the movie? In the 10th movie, The Rise of Darkrai, Darkrai fights against Dialga and Palkia, who threaten to destroy the fabric of space and time. In the process, Darkrai sacrifices itself for the well-being of the citizens of Alamos Town. This makes people think of Darkrai as a hero. But the whole thing is flawed. You know who else sacrificed himself for the well-being of citizens of another city? Latios. Latios, alongside with Latias, tried to protect Alto Mare from the coming doom in the 5th movie. While they do succeed, Latios dies in the process. He dies. Darkrai does not die. It is clearly shown that Darkrai survived the whole thing. So, the intention may be good, but can you really call that a sacrifice? And why do people worship Darkrai as a hero, when by that logic, Latios is the real hero?
Yana, fuck off. Legit, actually stop talking and fuck right off. The only thing that's flawed here is your logic. Let's break this down piece by piece and see what kind of mismatched explanation I can obtain from this unorganized and half-assed hot air you call a speech. First off, like the far-fetched segment, you try to redirect the consensus towards something you prefer because you want to see people love Latios, not Darkrai. Excellent work! Once again, you show me that you can't accept the fact that something's already beloved while something's not as beloved, I guess? Second off, think about the proportions of either their accomplishments. Latios prevented a tsunami from engulfing the city, while sacrificing itself in order to bring about peace, which in itself is impressive enough. Darkrai, however, assisted in halting the destruction of not just a city, but the entire dimension. Because if Darkrai didn't intervene, Dialga's Roar of Time and Palkia's Spatial Rent's collision would mean the end of everything. Not to mention that Darkrai's accomplishment was its own doing, while Latios had to get help. Not to mention, the only reason Darkrai even came back was because Palkia helped restore the dimension back to a state before the calamity even began. So in a manner of speaking, yes, Darkrai did die, but Palkia reverted the space around it, thus reviving Darkrai, technically, while time itself kept moving forward. Hell, even going by this logic, Latios survived too! Latios' soul became the new Soul Dew and is now the guardian of the city, despite being a spirit and all that. Which brings me to the most asinine implication of this rant. Yana, what do you define as a hero? Because I'm pretty sure that not all heroes need to be sacrificed! Heroes seek out for the better of the world and the people and creatures that inhabit it. You can debate on a hero's personalities and motives all you like, but more often than not, they'll go to such great lengths to complete their quest to prevent things like destruction, theft, all that bad shit. So by your inane and backwards-ass logic, heroes apparently have to die trying, or they just can't be considered heroes, I guess. Here's a scenario. Pretend a cop helps prevent a bank robbery and puts the offender in handcuffs, thus preventing any future conflict and misfortune for those around that vicinity. I guess the cop just can't be considered a hero because he didn't get shot. This situation is more or less the same, but since some other hero came up in some other point in the timeline to save some other location from some other disaster, I guess they could be considered the real hero. Yes, sometimes it sucks when someone does something great only for it to be overshadowed by someone else that does even greater things. I get it. But this idea of who's the real hero is fucking retarded. They're both real heroes. It's just that people like one more than the other. Get over yourself.
To finally conclude, Darkrai, in my opinion, is the most despicable Pokemon. I hate this thing, it's annoying, it's a coward, it's unfair, it's overused, it's broken, it's abused, and I don't want to deal with this nightmare any longer.
Wow, it's unfair and broken? As well as overused and abused? Well, Yana, I just want you to know that those last words were riveting and fascinating. Actually, who am I kidding? I'm kind of neutral on those last few words, and I feel like that was on middle ground. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, how is this higher than Terrakion? Actually, you know what? I've already explained this. Who cares?
Phew. Bear with me, please. This has been my top 10 least favorite Pokemon. You don't have to agree with me, but please respect my opinion.
That's great and all, but I don't have to respect shit. People can still agree or disagree with you while not really caring. That doesn't make them bad people. Plus, respect's not something that the fucking Tooth Fairy will give you. You have to earn that shit. This is a phrase I've seen thrown a lot around in the Countdown community of good old yesteryear, and looking back, it really did make that much sense from the beginning, as nobody has to automatically respect your opinion. Who's really gone to someone and say, "Wow, dude, you have an opinion, I respect you for that"? Opinions are something everyone has. It's not something worth investing that much time or care into it, to be honest.
What is up? Hater comments. I don't have any. Yet. I don't have any yet. I heard about a friend, and apparently there's a lot of hating.
If by hating, you mean people giving criticism for Weston to improve on and making jokes along the way to entertain those that don't apply to him, then you aren't exactly off.
So I thought, you know, why not just some reading? There's nothing else to do. I mean, I walked to a gas station and
nobody cares.
First video. Quick facts about clam bandicoot.
You silly Billy, that's not a clam.
How bad can it be, right?
Hello.
Hi.
Bye.
What you say?
So, I don't know if you can, tell by this, but by wanting to explore these potential hater comments, she goes off by riffing on a video of Weston's, then she starts to look at a bunch of autism comments, then she goes to other video titles and does a lot of nothing. So for your sake and for mine, I'll be skipping a huge chunk of this video and get to what we're really here for. However, there is something I like to say right about here.
MTR shoots number 8, hallway to door, more like ballroom blitz, clam bandicoot 60. Why?
Why not? I mean, instead of looking at the titles of a bunch of videos, you could see them yourself and judge whether or not each video is valid. Hell, I even took a visit to MTR's video, but then I realized something. For someone who thinks that people are making videos dedicated to responding to Weston are shallow, you're not really the sharpest tool in the shed either, since all you're doing is judging a bunch of books by their covers, and the one time you did do that, you just looked at his intro card and left the video right away. Hell, you even went to one of Weston's videos and started riffing on it yourself. Now I get about the possibility of you joking, but if you're gonna give him a chance, why not the responders? Oh wait, that's right, because anything thrown at your friend is moot. Quit coming off like a kiss ass and give the other people a shot. You never know, you might find something decent.
Doodle Tones. You know, let's check out Doodle Tones' channel.
Oh wait, so you're gonna give a whole channel a look at? Fucking bite me!
Cause okay, if you're making a video about something or something that you hate, you must be a good, decent person, because if you're a good person, then you can judge it, right?
I mean, it's not like you're giving a bunch of credit to these people, so I don't see how you have room to talk. And hell, you wanna know where else this logic can apply to? None other than your good old husbando.
Oh, hey, there he is.
So consider this an interesting social experiment.
Oh, the mic. Is that a voice changer?
Oh, come on, it's not that egregious. At least the pitch change and the volume make it clear to understand what Doodle's saying. And by the way, nice job attempting to make a video meme of you handling the situation with your guys, I really don't like this face. But seriously, either turn down your volume or frick off.
Commentary, who is quickly becoming the next bandwagon, Kablam Bandicoot, who is currently the bandwagon, and Mr. Enter, who is a former bandwagon.
Okay, so you're taking screenshots from an anime and you're making it your face and your voice changing your voice. Why? Why not just put your face? Why the voice changer? What?
Anonymity is a thing. It's their choice whether or not they want to reveal themselves to the general public. And you know what? Two can play at this game. Your channel aesthetics are anime themed and all your videos before this don't have you revealing your face. So I don't know where you have room to talk.
At this point, I make the fatal mistake to keep watching the video.
Well, great minds think alike, don't they?
Different people. Why? I'm sorry.
Sure, we can all sit down, grab a drink, look at some nerd's channel, laugh at how they're not showing themselves and not attempting to explain why this is a bad thing in the slightest, and drink bleach and kill ourselves.
We'll be using Muffet to commentate on this. And then I'll be using this random
Hey man, you're like a solid 10 years old.
How low can you go? That you have to put... You know what? You know what? No.
This text paragraph is funny, and for multiple reasons. For one, if she was going to say all of that, then why not do a retake? This is the future, man. I think we all would rather listen to the presenter than dealing with our arch nemesis reading. And second, I want to destroy everything this paragraph stands for.
How low can you go that you have to critique other people's channels when your videos are basically on the same level as most YouTubers, aka average?
Ignoring how we're all on a website where the point of it is to make whatever kinds of videos you want, you don't necessarily have to be on a certain level to critique something. I don't have to be a game developer to say that Lester the Unlikely is my hell. I don't have to be a chef to say this is not how you cook eggs. Hell, I don't even have to be Mother Nature to say that my backyard sucks.
Hell, I'm below average. I just simply don't give a single fuck.
Not a single one, huh? So that's why you're making a video on this.
If by any chance the people I've stated in this video see this and reply to it with another video, I'm not going to reply. I have a life off the internet, one which you guys, one critiquing Weston, apparently don't have.
Let's throw the idea of you possibly not fighting back because you're either too scared, too lazy, or too closed-minded out the window. You do realize that the people you're assuming have no life probably have school, college, or even jobs that wouldn't automatically warrant a response to Kablam right away, right? It just so happens that they wanted to throw their 2 cents in on the topic. You know, kinda like what people on the internet have the freedom to do.
You can cry as loud as you want, I'm still not going to care.
Ah, you say that now.
If I see it, I'll just laugh at your face, which none of the people criticizing Weston seem to have, and move on with my life.
See my point about anonymity, and we can go without the unironic playground insults, thank you. Also, for someone who seems to have a life, you sure are dedicating a lot of your time to this one issue, aren't ya?
If I do post a video, it sure as hell won't be about this tedious baby screaming internet fight again. Also, Zenith, your acting is terrible. Get good.
Allow me to reiterate. You say that now.
Hey there, guys. It's me, Commentary. And today, I am doing a commentary on a new bandwagon that I don't want to do, but I just want to do more commentaries. That's not part of the Jokementary series.
If you don't want to do a commentary on this guy, then simply put, don't do it. Nobody is forcing you here. You can go out and look for other material, you know.
I don't even know what this Carl commentary is.
You know, if you didn't want to do a commentary on it, why did...
Stop breathing.
Let's see why.
Bandwagon that I don't want to do, but I just want to do more commentary.
Well, he said that he wanted to do more commentary. So there's your answer. You could have just listened.
Nobody is forcing you here. You can go out and look for other material, you know.
Whoops, that was a misclick, might be.
Wait, did I just say that Enter had a life?
Wow, that's fucking nice and mature of you. Saying that someone has no life is good critique, huh guys? Right?
right?
Well, one could debate that Kablam's pot shot at Mr. Enter was a joke.
So she's doing a video of a video of a video?
Yes! Which is funny, because that video was a month ago. And while it wasn't terribly long, most of Doodle's videos after that, especially the one you're covering right now, have aspect ratio that is just fine. Shut your face.
Here's my commentary.
You say that with 2.5 minutes left of the video?
It's a 360,
it's alright, we all suck.
It's a 360 dumb circle. I'm just having a hard time even manifesting this in my mind.
Oh
like
no! All this nothing you've seen is really taking over your psyche! I'm so sorry!
Cringe comes in and makes fun of it. But I'm not gonna delve into this any further. Let's just magically say that by the YouTube gods, that my channel is better than yours.
You're right, I should kneel before your 37 fanbase and your skewed dislike bar. My 1,000 subscriber fanbase, and hell, Doodle's 2,000 subscriber fanbase, is nothing compared to you, oh mighty lord of YouTube.
And if it is like legit criticizing, he's doing it for comedic purposes. I'm doing this for comedic purposes. No, I am not doing this for comedic purposes. I'm doing this for myself. I don't have a life.
That's not what you said earlier.
You think I honestly care about YouTube? My YouTube views? I just post these videos because I'm bored. I do it for self-entertainment.
And I think that's the perfect moment to stop. Let's think about this. When people make videos on Kablam, they're a bunch of haters in your eyes and don't deserve any time out of your life or no life or whatever. But when you make videos on these supposed haters, it's perfectly justified because it's only a moment of self-fulfillment. This video has taught me one thing about you, and I hope you take this into account before you become a bandwagon yourself like Kablam is. You are incredibly self-centered. You ignore any criticism that is directed to you or what you believe in and attempt to fire back with nonsense while backed with an infuriatingly condescending persona that makes you look like a child. Please take this within consideration. Listen to what people say. Not everyone on the internet is a troll or a hater or whatever you think they are. Despite how they give off their criticism, I guarantee you that most of the videos you glance over have the intention of helping Kablam improve, not destroying him. And it's a mentality like this that the CC's been trying to prove wrong for years, even to this day. For the love of fuck, take other perspectives in. I'm positive you'll learn something from this and, as a result, you'll be a better person. Same with you, Kablam, if you happen to watch this. Oh, I forgot how much I resented Love Live. Those are some times.
I'm not okay with this!
Listen, you'll learn to appreciate the honk.
So does this mean Yang's not your waifu anymore, or do you just have more than one waifu? I thought that you only loved one and one alone.
It's fictional characters! I can have a harem all I fucking like, who cares?
Okay, God, let's see what this video's all about already.
Okay, what the heck am I doing here? 1 minute I'm defending myself from a Little Mac wannabe, and now I'm whoever this is.
Huh? Oh. You know, I should be surprised. I should be questioning why you're here, but this place has virtually no logic to it anyway, so stuff like this becomes the norm. At least it's not another Mexican orphan. Or I got a pal that needs disposed of.
Hello? Can you speak up? Or, like, not have your music close to the same volume as your voices? No, seriously, it makes it pretty hard to understand you when you're pretty mumbly and with your music as loud as it is.
An audio balancing criticism. That's fucking rich coming from you.
Oh, come on, we're the same person. We know I'm not that bad.
Well, you're not that good either.
Well, go fuck yourself.
Alright, where do you want to meet?
Dude, not even I would fuck me in this weird self-cessed masturbation fanfic.
Aside, I get that from the little I've seen of you, Kurame, you were much worse with your audio as you were quiet as all hell, but you still have a ways to go. I don't know if it's your accent or your mic or both, but in more cases than I care to count, you don't articulate very well. All I got from that was something about a Mexican, so congrats, you made me stop giving a shit about your premise, and we're not even 30 seconds in the video.
I love how you only got Mexican from that.
Listen, we all gotta get something to fuel everyone's Donald Trump masturbation handbook.
Donald Trump? Really?
Yeah, what's up?
Isn't that a bit obscure of a reference?
Obscure? What do you mean? Oh.
What, is he like super relevant, or?
Look, I'll just say this. Everybody's fucking stupid. Shit!
This is gonna be one of those days. Hello.
Okay, Okay, I'm questioning the age of this video now. Are you sure we're covering something relevant? What the fuck? Seriously? You live in a time period that is well beyond me, and you can't even make something good from it? Even the guys I knew that were worse off with editors where I come from don't have as cancerous garbage as this.
Well, okay, to be a bit more fair, nobody really has to make these super ball-busting try-hard edits like you and I do. After all, simplicity is not a bad thing by any means. But even when you're going for something more simplistic, this is still shit. Hey, digital dickhead, lead us off again.
Well, I don't know if I can agree with the simplicity aspect.
You will later!
But at least attempt to go further. I can recognize Sony Vegas from a mile away, so I know that you have access to various media generators that can be used as some sort of background, and a fuck ton of effects that can mesh with the text. Hell, even outside of Sony Vegas, you probably have video clips of those two characters. At least I think you do. I don't know who they are. Ty, can you vouch for that?
Sure can! And hell, even taken away from you can do more, that still leaves the issue that your syncing sucks approximately 80 dicks per second. I think you tried to make something as clusterfucked as this right here, because Monica's pictures come in before the main tune even drops, the rest of your pics are offbeat as hell, and to top it all off, it just crashes and burns with no transitions and straight into the commentary, without any leeway. Now look, I get that editing isn't the most important aspect in the world, especially for videos that revolve around using avatar pictures, but these are such simple fixes and barely require any tenacity for your edits that I'm surprised you didn't fall asleep mid-edit and decided to render as soon as you woke up.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Kurumi Toa with another commentary. And today we're dragging along another commentator I met at the hospital, oddly for the same bullet-related injuries caused by doodle tones. That said, why don't you introduce us to the video we're covering there, partner?
The video we'll be covering today is by a PokeTuber by the name of goes by the name of Omegi Mandles.
PokeTuber by the name of goes by the name of, yep, me too.
Well, that is referred to as DigitalTy. I guess that the English language is that also means bad.
Well said, it also means terrible.
Thanks, man. Wait a sec, we're hitting a commentary on a commentary? Dude, that's so strange.
No, it fucking isn't! Shit!
Number 10. Jellicent. Let's get real here for a moment. Were you ever really doubtful that Jellicent was going to be overpowered once you laid eyes upon this glorious mustache?
So having a stash makes it overpowered? Oh gosh, what does that mean for other Pokemon with hair-like features? Purple Pass is going to kill us all!
Oh please, that porn stash doesn't compare to the fabulousness that is Kricketune. You should know your real enemies.
Kricketune a bad Pokemon though.
You're a bad Pokemon! Oh, fuck, you just got bad Pokemon, bitch!
I want to die.
Hey, I'd create a paradox.
Are you saying that you have the balls to do that?
Good point. Let's move on.
Here at Mandles Incorporated, we take style very seriously, and Jellicent easily gets an A+ in that department. Seriously though, if you want more than just a sweet stash, Jellicent also earns himself the title of Overpowered. Jellicent has a unique typing of Water Ghost, which provides it with a number of nifty things. This includes giving it access to Will-O-Wisp as well as the ability to block Rapid Spin.
So right here, Mandel shows us that he knows the move Will-O-Wisp exists. Keep this in mind, it's going to be important soon.
He also apparently knows that Rapid Spin exists. This will be important later, too.
And please, dear viewers, keep in mind this whole notion, too.
Is this a thing that people do? Just stop the video, say something that will be saved for later, and then continue not really doing anything to what's happening now?
Way too much. Oh. I gotcha.
Jellicent's ability to be a spin blocker and keep entry hazards on the field makes it almost a stable Pokemon to have on your team. Jellicent can also be a pest by using Taunt, which is great too. Recover is also a hilariously annoying move that Jellicent has to its name, so that should be abused as well. The Pokemon's attack isn't really anything to write home about, but what Jellicent lacks in physical prowess, it makes up for in obnoxious utility. And it's got a mustache. Did I mention that part yet?
So I noticed that despite you praising Jellicent up to this point and saying how it's so overpowered, you fail to bring up any of its weaknesses and counters. Well, let's see. In terms of Pokemon Black and White alone, the one to bring up is Galvantula, who outspeeds it and pretty much sends it packing with Thunderbolt, or, you know, if you're unfortunate enough to deal with one with Compound Eyes, the always terrifying Thunder.
Oh yes, because one Pokemon suddenly makes his points about how good Jellicent's utility is completely debunked. Hey, have you ever stopped to consider one of the biggest reasons as to why a Pokemon is as good as it is because of how their kit can handle a good majority of the cast? Yeah, there are counters, no duh, but consider the chances for your scenarios to even happen in the first place.
Let's take a look at your Galvantula example too, because even that has some holes in it. You said that a Galvantula with Thunder can send a Jellicent packing, right? Well, after taking a trip to the good old damage calculator, we can see that it's not guaranteed to be the case. Even when it's a Galvantula at the highest possible special attack going against a Jellicent at the highest possible HP and special defense. And even if we're talking about other electric types with higher special attack stats like Rotom and Jolteon, it just leaves me with the burning question of why the fuck are you using a Jellicent against a strong electric type in the first place?
If it's a last Pokemon scenario, then yeah, I get that, but you still have plenty of Pokemon to switch to and balance out your counters. It's almost like, get this, we're playing Pokemon or something.
And now that I think about it, you never thought of Jellicent's abilities. Jellicent gets Coast Body, which allows it to disable a move that hits it with physical contact, and Water Absorb, which allows it to heal damage from water-type moves. You know what move was popular in Generation 5? Scald! You could have easily mentioned this, but you didn't.
Maybe I'd give you that, but it would make Kurome's counterpoint less effective because so far he exists to point out how each of Mandal's candidates aren't effective choices. So essentially, you're giving Mandals more ammo on why Jellison is overpowered. Not to mention that, since Jellison is gaining more health with Water Absorb, it would mean that it would be even less likely for Galvantula to kill it. I mean, he could have mentioned it, and you're not wrong, but neither am I, bitch.
Number 9, Chandelure. I know what you're thinking. Mandals, come on, how could a Chandelier Pokemon possibly be overpowered? Good question, viewer, but the answer to that is simple. Chandelure is an absolute bulldozer in terms of special attack. And after all, the Pokemon does absorb souls by hypnotizing targets with its flame, so naturally you'd assume it could deal some damage. Unfortunately, special attack is kinda where Chandelure's strengths end, since its other stats are kinda meh. However, a 145 base special attack more than makes up for that, and you'd be a fool not to be spooked by that. Chandelure also has a sweet immunity to fire, fighting, and normal moves. Honestly though, at the end of the day, Chandelure's best asset is the Pokemon's ability to knock out opponents ludicrously fast. And your pal Chandelure really becomes a threat once you throw a Choice Scarf into the equation. Once you do that, I guarantee you'll have full faith in Chandelure, and you'll be convinced that the Pokemon was indeed overpowered.
Oh yeah, I'm sure nothing can touch Chandelure if you have Choice Scarf.
Oh, you are? You're positive about the remark that Mandals didn't even imply about? Where in this portion does Mandal suggest that nothing can touch Chandelure? He touched upon Chandelure's immunities, yeah, but he never said that nothing can touch it. Hell, he even said that Chandelure's other stats aren't the best in the world, so what are you trying to add here?
He's really got us beat there. I have no idea what Pokemon is set up against what you're describing. Well, I mean, there is one I can think of. Yeah, this thing right here. Perfect counter to your little Chandelure. Rips it into pieces like it's his last resort. Especially with Speed Boost, Protect, Waterfall, Crunch, Earthquake.
Okay, well you aren't exactly wrong on this, except for the whole lone example bit, but we already covered that. Let's comment on a couple things. Admittedly, they aren't the most significant points in the world, but I still think they're worth a mention.
First off, noticing a pattern yet, they play this segment in its entirety and then interject. I can understand not having anything to say until the end or just saving up your points until the end, but can you at least cut some of the needless shit or speed it up? This shit's flow breaking, it only leaves me to give less of a fuck in the long run.
Also, to expand the lack of flow this video has, the Sharpedo bit as a whole kinda sucks. Not only are the abrupt cuts distracting, but there's also pauses before the music even plays, which makes this joke feel more like we're just itching away at the video. Why not play both your quips and the Jaws music at the same time? Hell, you even do that for the third portion, so why not do the same thing for the entire bit? Your joke argument hybrid would flow much better and make me feel more engaged.
So does comedy like die in your time period, or?
Hey, I remember struggling with countdowns in your time period. You wanna make a top 10 reasons why that's fucking ironic?
Jesus God, is this the only comedy between us? Just you constantly poking shit at me?
I'm part commentator. It's an elaborate way for self-deprecation. You'll know when you're older.
What does self-deprecation mean?
Don't forget, Chrome, Stamilot was popular in Generation 5 too, and it got the move Aqua Jet, which was Stab. Also, don't forget all the ghost types that had the move Shadow Sneak.
Oh, let me guess, we're gonna keep this in mind too? God damn it.
If ignorance is so bad, I want to hang myself with a...
Why?
Shit! Hey kids, do you like biological warfare? No! Reuniclus does too! This bulbous Bioblob blasts away opposing Pokemon with intense force. Don't let its happy face and cushiony, huggable appearance fool you. Reuniclus will take you out the minute you let your guard down. This is of course thanks to the Pokemon's 125 base special attack. And remember how I said the Pokemon looked cushiony? Well, it isn't half bad at absorbing damage with that HP stat, so I suppose the Pokemon's appearance makes quite a bit of sense. Unfortunately, this also means that since the Pokemon looks like molasses, it tends to move at that kind of speed too. But this was also during a time where Trick Room was still somewhat relevant, and Reuniclus has full access to that move. This move makes its pitiful 30 base speed feel a million times more potent. Reuniclus also has the ability Magic Guard, which is flat out an amazing thing to have. Its move pool is also boundless, and on that note, I'm pretty sure you know why this thing should be feared.
Yeah, that's great and all, but there are several dark types that could wipe the floor with Reuniclus even with Trick Room active. Especially those who actually benefit from said Trick Room themselves, like, oh I don't know, Crawdaunt or Cacturn.
Notice how both Crawdaunt and Cacturn are faster than Reuniclus, and how Trick Room can flip the speeds of all Pokemon on the field, meaning that if Reuniclus survives, then it can use the Trick Room and or kill them in one shot with Focus Blast.
Well, after running it in the damage calc, Kurome's point is half correct. Yes, Crawdaunt can one-shot a Reuniclus, even with max HP and defense. Cacturn, on the other hand, doesn't have such luck, even with moves like Foul Play, Dark Pulse, and Sucker Punch. Hell, Sucker Punch is even worse off because it can only hit when the opponent is using an attacking move, meaning that if Reuniclus uses Trick Room, the Cacturn would be given the Reuniclus a free turn.
Also, don't forget Shadow Sneak is still a popular move. And for a Pokemon that's so good at sweeping, hey Chrome, you wanna tell him what the base accuracy of Focus Blast is? You know, the move that's good at dealing its main weakness.
Oh, you mean the move with 70% accuracy, which translates basically into, lol, you're never gonna hit them in that move, cause fuck you.
Well, last I checked, 70% and never aren't the same, but details.
Also, he mentions Magic Guard in this entry, but doesn't explain what it does. Great job, 7.8 out of 10 IGN. Too much failure. Kind of like Kurome's taste in waifus.
Oh, so you're gonna tell us that Magic Guard prevents indirect damage like weather, status elements that aren't confusion, leech seed, entry hazards, and even life orb recoil? Are you? Yeah? Alright.
But didn't you say not that long ago how Jonah was giving Mandals more ammo by stating how he could have brought up Jellicent's other abilities?
Yeah, but Jonah's method of going about this time was lazier, since at least then he bothered to bring up what those abilities even did. Here he just said, lol, no explained, and moved on. Not explaining actually bites him in the ass, since he got onto Mandals for not explaining it, so fucking, I guess I have to do the dirty work for all these shitlord commentators that can't be fucked.
Number 7, Bishop. It shouldn't take long for you to take a gander at this Pokemon and immediately think to yourself, huh, yeah, that thing, it looks a little overpowered. And would you expect less from a Pokemon that would impale you instantly if you tried to give a big old hug? Despite Bisharp looking like he would put the entire Attack on Titan cast to shame, the Pokemon also works quite well mechanically. First off, Steel type, baby. It's debatably one of the best types to have due to its resistances, and Bisharp's got it. Next up, boom, attack. He's got it. This allows it to rip apart opponents' pro-Genji style with more moves than I care to count. Notable ones are Iron Head, Sword Stance, and the devious Sucker Punch. And if you want to be even more of a devious little you can set up Substitute at the right time to get a few Sword Stances off. And then, when the other Pokemon doesn't expect it, bam! Sucker Punch right to the Pokeballs. Bisharp does fight dirty, but it's also undeniably effective.
Again, you fail to bring up the most obvious of counters. A fighting type that can withstand Sucker Punch, which is basically most of them, will almost one-hit KO it with a good fighting type attack, so I don't see where you get the impression something so deathly afraid of a goddamn fist is overpowered.
Gosh dang it, Kurome, do you want to call a One Punch Man fans right to us? And also, Sucker Punch? Didn't you bring up a move earlier in this video to counteract that?
Giving it access to Will-O-Wisp.
Oh yeah, something like that.
Burning Bishop with half its attack, rendering it useless. I mean, sure, you could put a Lumberry on it, but 1, you didn't mention that, and 2, why would you run anything on about Focus Sash?
So you admit that Focus Sash is a thing, and a very good thing at that. Which can make a Pokemon survive a move that would normally kill the Pokemon in one hit if the holder has full health. So wouldn't that invalidate Kurome's point about fighting types being the banes of its existence, since it can also get Aerial Ace and Psycho Cut?
Also about the Will-O-Wisp thing. Yeah, Lumberry does exist. Not to mention that people would run Lumberry on that to prepare for the burns. I get that you think Focus Sash is a better option for it, and hell, I honestly think the same way, but it's sacrifices like those that you have to make when running a Pokemon team. You can make just about any call when holding an item, depending on how you set up the team, and you can certainly make it work.
Shit! Number 6, Conkeldurr. If you're a fan of the rippling biceps and manliness of a champ, chances are you also fancy yourself a Conkeldurr. This testosterone-fueled madhouse could probably punch this universe and send it spiraling out of existence. Yeah, we're talking that manly. Most fighters smash you into concrete, but Conkeldurr, screw that, he smashes you with the concrete. How's he capable of this, you might ask? Well, I'm sure it has something to do with that godly 140 base attack. Hey, he's gotta lift those columns somehow, dude. Also, you'd think a boring old fighting type like this would have limited access to moves, right?
Wrong.
Of course, he comes with all of your bread and butter fighting moves like Mach Punch and Drain Punch. However, the Pokemon can also use moves like Earthquake, Stone Edge, and all of the elemental punches. You know, typical god stuff. Conkeldurr's slow, but can outspeed you with Mach Punch. It's kind of fragile, but can heal with Drain Punch. This monster absolutely screams meta, and I rest my case.
Don't rest just yet, Mandel, because there's a glaring issue with Conkeldurr, and you should know it. It's pretty strong attack-wise, yeah, but it's slow as hell, meaning you need to use Mach Punch in its moveset. And while you did mention Mach Punch, here's the problem with it. It's not a strong move, honestly.
Yeah, but...
Don't forget, Kurome, Stamilot was popular in Generation 5 too, and it got the move Aqua Jet, which was Stab. Also, don't forget Shadow Sneak is still a popular move.
Just fucking take all the credit, why don't you?
Somebody's gotta do it, and it's not gonna be you!
If you're face-to-face with a Psychic type like Gothitelle or Reniclus, they can take that Mach Punch just fine and send your ass into oblivion with a Psychic move. Mind over matter, as they say.
If you're face-to-face with a Psychic-type Pokemon as a Conkeldurr and your first instinct is to Mach Punch, then just clamp your dick with your DS and take the fucking L.
I know what you mean by mind over matter. Now, do you?
The only way to do more damage then would be to rely on Guts. And even then, that'd be a problem, because in Generation 5, Burn did more damage than it did in Generation 7 when it got nerfed.
Wait a sec, there's a Gen 7?
Yep, and it's pretty goddamn great so far.
Nice. Yeah, anyway, so what that the damage was nerfed in the new gens? That's the whole point of Guts. It's a risk-reward ability. The risk being that you take damage each turn, and the reward being that you get more attacking power. Saying that burns are better handled in the later games actually shifts the argument away from Gen 5 and further in favor of Conkeldurr. If you want to argue why it's not overpowered in Gen 5, then stick with Gen 5.
And also, Conkeldurr relies only on physical moves, so good luck against any Pokemon with Rocky Helmet.
Drain Punch. Just Drain Punch.
3 evolution stage dragon type Pokemon. Practically every generation has got them, but the question is Gen 5's edition any good? Good god, yes. I know it's probably crazy at this point to introduce a Pokemon with an even higher base attack, but I've got one for you. Haxorus sports a whopping 147, which is just disgustingly good. And since dragon moves are some of the best to begin with, a stab Haxorus is capable of pretty much one-hitting anything it darn well pleases. This does, however, mean the Pokemon has to outspeed the opposition, but this isn't incredibly hard to do. A 97 base speed is solid, and though you might have to build Haxorus as a glass cannon, I say it's worth it with these numbers. I've gotta say, I just love Pokemon that are strong for these reasons. They're just not hard to figure out. Pick attacks that have high damage numbers attached to them, give them a good item, and finally unleash the pain. What, did you expect something different from a Pokemon with blades for a face?
I'll admit you're pretty accurate with the strong point of Haxorus pre-Gen 6, but there is one little thing I'd like to point to your attention that was, especially in Generation 5, the biggest threat to it, and fellow dragons. pre-nerfed Hail/Blizzard combo.
Cool! Now, tell me how often you're gonna come across that. I'll wait.
No, even better! Tell me what Ice-type Pokemon are faster than Haxorus and have access to Hail. Okay, now tell me their defense stats. Now tell me what can hold a Focus Sash and learn Superpower, Iron Tail, and Rock Slide. Yeah, rip.
Number 4, Ferrothorn. Most people would probably label this Pokemon as a Fortress clone, but I'm here to say no! No! I love this spiky menace. Don't you just want to hug it? Okay, bad example. Maybe this thing isn't that huggable, but that's also kind of the point. Ferrothorn is built for giving anti-hugs. No Pokemon wants to touch this thing, and that, my friends, is exactly Ferrothorn's winning strategy. If a Pokemon was to make physical contact with this bladed menace, it'd lose a chunk of its own health due to Ferrothorn's iron bars. And it'd lose even more health if Ferrothorn was sporting a rocky helmet. On top of this, thanks to Ferrothorn's immense defenses, in some cases the attacker will end up taking more damage than Ferrothorn itself, especially when you consider the fact that it has Stealth Rocks and Spikes. This right here is a true vampire Pokemon.
There is one simple way of defeating a Ferrothorn without worrying about any of that nasty damage from iron barbs and rocky helmet. How, you may ask? Simple. You simply...
Oh god! What? Fucking loud flame high in our jokes! Ah, gross!
Uh-huh.
Shit! Number 3, Volcarona. There are so many good things that Volcarona has going for it. The first being the fact that, frankly, the Pokedex makes this guy sound like a god. Statements such as, it is said that Volcarona's fire provided a replacement for the sun, and thought to be an embodiment of the sun, have already got me interested in the Pokemon. Next, it's the first bug fire type, and pulls off this combo really well. Okay, that's not an important detail, but it's dope, alright?
Actually, the typing's really important here if you pay attention. Since you're saying the Sun God bug here is overpowered, its typing spells out a perfect counter for you to use against it. Rock-type Pokemon. Yeah, that is in fact important to the argument.
Even putting aside the core weakness to rock, there's bad weaknesses to water and flying. So really it is an easy bug to squish.
You guys missed the point. When he says that it pulls off the typing well, he obviously meant that in regards of how good the stab is, with it being able to handle bug, steel, grass, psychic, and dark types. And he even goes into its access to both its dancing moves, Quiver Dance and Fiery Dance. Just because there are weaknesses, it doesn't mean that the Pokemon suddenly can't pull off its typing well.
Shit! A crafty bugger that can do all sorts of annoying things with its huge defense stat.
Wait. That's it. It has a good defense stat. Hey, come on, man. You want to inform the kids at home about its great ability before I turn this guy into a ghost?
So I heard you want to attack this Pokemon head on. Well, that's fine, but I hope the Pokemon didn't depend on its ability to be useful to you, because now it's changed the mummy. That's right, your ability gets changed when you physically touch this thing to an almost useless ability that you can only get rid of by switching out or being hit with a physical attack by your opponent's next Pokemon.
First of all, it was just his honorable mention, so quickly highlighting the Pokemon's best attributes is a no-brainer.
And secondly, what does talking about its ability even add to the discussion? I mean, Mandels did say it was a crafty little bugger, so shouldn't that imply that he also was referring to its ability? I sorta get you were trying to say that it should have been on the list, but you could have shortened this rant.
Shortening rants. That's cute.
Stop talking.
Also, it's not like it makes that much of a difference anyway. Even if Mandels did put it on the list, you guys still would have pointed out counters to pass it off as a reason for suddenly not being OP, so, you know.
Shit!
Also, the lack of Electros even as an honorable mention depresses me, given how it doesn't have any weaknesses other than being hit with Smackdown.
I mean, there's also the fact that it doesn't have a lot of resistances either, and is easy to overcome no thanks to its slow speed, but whatever.